Okay, so here's the mission that we got.
What is up, everyone? It's your girl JJ Beats with none other than.
Oh, is that like a cue for me to?
Yes, yeah.
I'm the dog.
Yes, it is literally like a 50-50. There's usually like people understand it and people don't understand it.
Nah, I'm stupid. I kind of just woke up not too long ago, but we're here. We're good. What's up?
Yes. So who are you?
I'm Don Shnack. I make little Nintendo funny videos, I guess. Every single thing within Pikmin 4 has been randomized. This includes the enemies, the caves, the treasures, as well as our starting Pikmin. Wait, is this free? This can't be right. Now, there is a lot happening on the first day. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that the Emperor Boblax, he shouldn't be there. DLC Cup and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been combined into a giant 48 race Grand Prix. And what I want is the gold. But I'm definitely not trying to do all those races by myself. So I assembled a little team to help me out. Starting with our first operative, I was, I think what really started it was I was messing around with videos for a while in like 2018. I think I started doing like Pokemon Let's Plays, and I immediately was like, this stinks. I feel like I'm making nothing that matters, and I'm just like a drop in a giant ocean. But what really I think kickstarted my career was actually quarantine. I'm a what they call a COVID baby, to where I was like really involved in college doing a lot, and then once that was all stripped away from me, I was like, well, I have a lot of time on my hands to really do something. And so I got into video editing, I got into making my own videos, and then it just kind of built from there. So that was like the big thing.
You said I'm not about that Vtuber life.
I'll probably get into more later because I see a lot of the questions here, and I feel like this will get into more of those philosophies. But I think Pokemon YouTube's fine, but I think like I made a Let's Play of Pokemon Crystal, like randomized or whatever. It's like, wow, I'm one of 5 billion people doing that. Like, how does that set myself apart from anybody? You know, there was like no creative fulfillment, and I was just like, and the numbers showed. I mean, I was getting like 2 views, so I was like, this is something I really need to abandon ASAP.
When I first found out about you, you were known as like the editor.
Yeah.
How many people did you edit for, and who was the first person you edited for?
First person was Ryan King Corefish.
Company recently got hacked, and hundreds of unreleased beta Pokemon were leaked to the public. A lot of these beta designs are really cool. Personally, my favorite is the ground type cast form.
That's kind of what kickstarted things a lot for me too. There was a lot of moments in my little career going where I think there was like a big bump where like I learned a lot. I think with him, it was funny. It kind of originated from my mom, because I was like, Mom, I'm doing YouTube. Like, this is kind of cool. And she's a pretty critical person, but not to a point where it's like most families where they like she acknowledged what I did and like approved of it. You know, like, yeah, totally follow your dreams. But she was nice and realistic about it, where she was like, all right, like, this is fine and all, but like, where's your prospects? You know, like, where is this going? You're not making any connections. And I was like, fine, I'll make a freaking connection. And he had a submit your work type of thing on Twitter, and I got the job. That didn't last long because it was bad. But after that, I started working for United Plays Dylan, and that was like the best thing ever. Like, I had that job for like 2-3 years.
Today we are building a Pokemon team by selecting randomized starters, except we must take all of them. So if we see Swampert, Lugia, and Lovedisk, you gotta decide, is it worth it to have those 2 amazing Pokemon while also having to take one horrendous one with them? Both players are allowed 2 skips to risk a future round having better luck. We will both select a total of 12 Pokemon for some insane battles with 2 different teams. For
some bigger people in the Pokemon community specifically, I edited a video or 2 for like Game Boy Luke, if you know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
Supra, I did a video or 2. I edited for Alpharad for like 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So I got around for a little bit, but primarily I would say like Dylan's the biggest one that I worked for. That was for a while.
When you said United Plays, I was just like, United Plays? And I looked it up, I was like, isn't that United Gamer? And I found out, I was like, this man had 2 channels the whole time. I was so like, wait, what the turd?
Yeah, it was very tomato, like, they're now like the same exact thing. I think there's like financial reasons for doing so, like you can get sponsors on both or whatever, but I think initially one was for Let's Plays and one was for like those like Then We Fight videos that are more highly edited, more like Mr. Beastified or whatever you want to call it. More for like a modern YouTube landscape. I guess Mr. Beastified's got a negative connotation, but I was doing the Then We Fight videos that required more editing and more sauce. But I think now he just abandoned Let's Plays, I think, on that channel, and now it's just kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, they're both essentially the same thing now, but like I remember knowing them because of the Core 4, essentially. Vinny, Dylan, Ryan.
Yeah.
And then Dylan. Wait, did I say Dylan? Asteroid. So
Yeah.
So I like how I said everyone's name except Asteroid. I was just like, wait, that's not his name. Frank.
Frank.
I was just like, because he hid his name for so long. So I was just like, wait, that didn't sound right. But no, it's funny you said Supra, because I was just like, oh yeah, I remember Supra. He did a lot of those Let's Plays too. But with Alpha Rad, is there any like that? Like, you remember editing, like, because he did a lot of Pokemon ones, and then he started going, well, I think he did a lot of different ones, and then he started doing Pokemon because those really popped up. So, like, is there one you
remember? Yeah, I did.
Specifically?
I actually remember, like, because there wasn't that much work, like, in the span of the months that I did, there wasn't too many things that I worked on for him. I did his first, like, Mario Party, but the loser is the winner. I think that was, like, my audition video. That was the first one, and then I did his entire, for the most part, him playing through Legends Arceus, which is now like one video, but he initially made it like into different parts.
Yeah.
And I had done most of those, and then there was a video that he did that was him ranking every single Pokemon. I think someone else was assigned to do it, and they didn't do that great of a job, and I was tasked to clean it up. That was a horrible experience because it was a super long video, and I accidentally deleted the files for it.
Rip.
And like organizing things, and I was like, oh, I have to start this all over. That's really awesome. Wow, fantastic. He was really chill about it, but that was kind of what sucks too is that was like the last thing I did for him. So it kind of got off on like a sour note, but me and him are cool now, so it's fine. It was never not cool. It was just kind of awkward.
Yeah,
but
just like, oh, sorry.
that's how it can be in business.
I deleted your files. My bad.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you know how I said I was gonna get this done like by the end of this week? Well, now we have to bump that out because I'm an idiot. So whoops.
Whoopsie.
My bad. It happens.
That gotta be one of the worst moments. Just as an editor, it's like, yeah, your content's gone. They're like, excuse me. So.
Oh no, yeah, I crashed out. Because I was working for him and Dylan at the time too. So it was it got rough. It was a time where I was just drowning in work. But I don't know. I felt like that's what needed to be done in order to make more money. Because when you start off, you're making pennies. And I was like, I need to start. I'm like at that point, I'm like what, like 24, 23. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to move out. I'm trying to live with my girlfriend. I need to start making moves to make things happen. So yeah, it sucked, but we made it out good by the end. So that's all that matters.
This was all during the Bovid era. I call it Bovid because I got canceled. My video got deleted. My video got deleted for apparently saying the word even though I never said it. So now I just say Bovid. So.
Bovid. It was a little bit after. It was I lived in the big thing was I had been dating my girlfriend long distance for years at that point, and we both graduated college. She was getting done her master's program. And it was like, all right, when are you moving out here? Because she lived in California, I lived in New Jersey.
Wow. This
was, I think, yeah, like lockdown was done. We were beyond that point. I think this was like 2022. I think I want to say. Time I was getting hazy in my head, but that was yeah, and so that's what really like got me like, all right, I need to start like making some bread because LA rent's the most expensive thing in the freaking world. So I was like, we need to start making things happen here. I can't just like live off of this one stream of income, which is tough. Editors have it hard. Editors definitely have it hard.
You said I need to make that LA bread.
I do. You play life on hard mode.
Yeah, well, why are you in LA? That's the real question.
To live with her. She's not moving, so I was like, all right, fine. I guess I'll move out there. It's not that easy. People try to chalk it up like it's so easy. Like, oh, why don't you just convince her? It's like, have you ever seen the guy in the relationship, like, bake that decision, you know? And it's also a matter of just, like, I'm more, I guess, low maintenance in that regard, and it was just a matter of like, yeah, okay. I mean, she had valid reasons for wanting to stay out there. I proposed my case. The decision was made. You know, that's fine. I'm enjoying it out here. It's just more expensive, but I'm a stubborn guy. I'm like, all right, I'll have my cake and eat it too. I'll just find ways to become successful, and therefore I can afford it.
No,
and I did it. So we good.
My friend, every time like he had a girl, he was broke, and every time he had money. I was just like, huh, cause and effect, isn't that funny, huh? I was just like, you with the girl, you without girl. I was like, your wallet seems to have a drastic change for some reason. I wonder why that is. Oh my goodness. Viewers or something are always like, oh, if only you had this and that. I was just like, okay, so are you here for me or what I could potentially get out of this? Because I'm just like...
It's an interesting point, actually.
So with video editing, how is that even based on, like, do you do it for experience first, the quote unquote exposure, or is just like, no, I need my base pay first?
Editing is it's definitely both. It's a 1000% a job first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone was like, yo, you'll get exposure, that's crazy. But depending on who you work for, I think you can get a lot out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone like Ryan and Jacob Alfarad were like really, well, Jacob was a really good mentor. I think Ryan was a good mentor at first, but taught me kind of the wrong skills. I think his view of YouTube was incorrect for the most part. They just kind of taught me like, you know, like, oh, make these really high effort edits. Like people really appreciate that. That's not the case, by the way. Editing doesn't matter as much as we say it does. But Jacob was someone that was like really taught me like a lot of interesting techniques, and that was like a really cool experience. Because also too, when you just start editing for other people, and if you're like pretty good at what you do, like people start like recognizing that. Like I think that was what was really cool about starting to edit, was I was able to make connections, which didn't really help like in a collaborative sense. Like it's not like, oh, this person shouted me out and now I'm getting subscribers. Like that doesn't really matter anymore. The big thing that like really helped was I was able to gain mentor figures. Like I met people through these people that like wanted to see me succeed and like taught me things, and I was like, oh, this is how this website works, because there is, you know, kind of a meta to this crap. So it's yeah, so I would say primarily it's definitely for money, but like if you are trying to go through that editor to creator pipeline, there are benefits into doing so, and you're able to make like really helpful connections that can really help you out. Yeah, which is nice.
Because I do like a lot of volunteer projects, like the one time I showed you the video game. So like those things are like free projects because we're all giving free labor away essentially, because we're not making zero money out of those games, right? So sometimes people come up to me and be like, oh, in order for you to succeed, you just need a very highly edited video. I was just like, okay, you want to give it a gamble? Go ahead. And then they give it a gamble, because I was just like, I'm not forcing you to do it or anything, but if you really want to walk the walk, and they're like, yeah, I just gave up, there's really nothing that I could do. I was just like, okay. Like it's just like a lot of people like feel like it's very easy to like make those highly skilled videos, or like those infrared videos as you mentioned, but and then when they put it into motion, it's just like, I don't really know what to do or how to improve the video itself. So it's just like, yeah, it's just like you really have to figure out what works for you. It's like, yes, it's entertaining to see all that flashy images and whatnot, but it's just like, well, how does this work for the creator you have in mind?
Yeah, and it's also, what's really nice is working for someone that knows the trade. There's a difference between someone that's never edited before and working for someone that has, because when someone has, I think you take their credentials into account. Like if they give a note or like a critique on what you did, I think there's more of a level of respect of like, okay, like I understand why you're saying this, you know the trade. But also too, I think there's a better stream of like empathy, you know. It's like, okay, you understand. Like sometimes I've heard stories of bosses that have never edited before, and they request something like, should be easy, right? And it's like, you have no clue what you're talking about, this is crazy. But for someone that knows how to edit, they will be less likely to make such requests, because they know like, yeah, that would suck if I made you do that, because I've been through it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a lot of things people don't think about, but it's a huge part of making some people's favorites videos, you know. I mean, everyone's got an editor at this point. It's kind of like a mandatory thing if you want to make it big.
I mean, you do your own editing, right? Because that's like what you like to do.
Yes, for the most part though. Like even I get some help. I have people do my shorts. I've recently gotten someone that does the initial cut. Because if you want to make I like to compare it to television and movies a lot. You know, like there's so many things that go into a production in terms of like lighting, editing, what's it called, cinematography, directing, all this mumbo jumbo clashing together, and it's you figure out like, oh, it's so much better. Instead of like wearing myself so thin, I can get someone that's really good at this. I can get someone that's really good at this. Combine all of our talents together and make something that's like really good without killing yourself. You know, it can be smarter that way. And I plan on like trying to get on more help as I go on and try to find out ways to allocate that better. But for the most part, yeah, I still do like the final edits. I still concoct the story within the timeline. That's mostly me at the moment.
Yeah, like I remember how all those YouTubers, how you could get like 100,000 followers with 0 experience, and then I would I would see, I was just like, wait a darn minute, all these people who are going up have either some professional background or have like a bunch of others. I'm just like, that's experience right there. So I was just like, wait a second, you are comparing apples to oranges at this point. It's just like, that's not gonna be a realistic for someone who has like 0 backing or anything, or like is really trying to do it by themselves. Because I know like my viewers or something are always like, oh, if only you had this and that. I was just like, okay, so are you here for me or what I could potentially get out of this? Because I'm just like...
It's an interesting point, actually. Yeah, it's hard. It's daunting. It's very daunting in that regard. You know, because there's so many other advantages that people have, especially with like years of experience. But that's because that's why I think like you really have to want it if you want to like do this full time. Like you really got to be like, well, this is my purpose. Like I want to entertain people. I want to make things. Like I'm willing to put in like those years of nothing to finally get something, you know, because it is true. Like it's just if you start off by yourself, it's like, well, look at this creator that's got 2 million subscribers and like 50 editors and like a thumbnail person. You have way less resources, but it's up to the individual, I guess, to figure that out.
Yeah, it really is, because I originally started as a PokeTuber myself. And yeah, it did go somewhere, but I really hated where it was going. I was just like, I don't want to just be a PokeTuber. I was just like, I can't stand just doing Pokemon the whole time. I was like, I need variety. And then it kind of put my platform back to 0 essentially. So it's just like, dang, numbers don't mean a thing. Like someone could have 10K subscribers, 100K subscribers, but like then you could go back to having back to 0 if like you change your content. So it's like you still have to build your back up to 0. So it's just like you really have to be confident with what you do, but even then it's just like, are people gonna watch? So it's like yeah.
That's a really good point, and that numbers don't mean a thing. Because yeah, if you reinvent yourself, it is actually going back down to 0. Especially with Pokemon. Pokemon YouTube is a trap. That's the real truth. Don't do it unless you have like a really interesting and new way to change the scene, like try to provide something to the conversation. If you're just like, oh, look, Nuzlocke looks so much fun, I'm going to do my own. It's like, yeah, have fun with that, bud. that's what I gotta say. I've been talking to so many people trying to get them off the Pokemon wave. It's funny that you bring up Raid specifically, because I feel like Raid is like the YouTube sponsor of all time, to where like I think people see the Raid ad and they attach like no feeling towards it because they're so desensitized to seeing it, to the point where it's just like, this creator is receiving a paycheck.
So, who was it? I remember going to a Patterns live stream one time, and he's just like, I want to do something different, but I don't know how to keep it like while having while having my viewers. I was just like, it's your channel, you can do whatever. It was such a experienced YouTuber. Everybody, it's just like, it's your platform, you can do whatever you want. It's like, no, I can't. And then he did start doing whatever he wanted, but and it worked for him. But then it was kind of crazy to see, because I was like, I could do whatever I want. Started playing Persona. all my viewership just tanked. I was just like, oh, okay, so this is how it's like. It's just like, oh no, they were just here for Pokemon. So
Yeah, I mean that's true. That's people will say like, I'll watch you regardless of anything you do. That's not true, sadly. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, people, I think, get a little too emotional about those things because at the end of the day, like, if you're just like to detach all ego from what you do, it's a matter of like, you know, I don't want to. I'm not saying like you're giving a product because that sounds way too corporate and stinky, but you're giving people. Here's a way to look at it, actually. I'm sorry for like rambling so much right there, but I have a sticky note on my monitor that says every video is a gift, right? And thus, if you think of it that way, if someone's a Pokemon fan and you are constantly giving gifts to said Pokemon fans, would they then want a Persona video? I guess all of this is a way to say that like there's a relationship with you and your audience, and you have to constantly remember like, okay, like it's a medium which what do I want to create, but what do people want to see? What do my people want to see? And I think that's where, just do whatever you want. That sounds great, but it's not true. Like you have to think about that other element. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, which is fair because it's hard to think outside of your own bias that way.
well, I guess that's one of those questions where it's just like hobby versus making money out of it, because you need to make the money because you live in LA. You're like, I can't just keep this as a hobby. So it's just like this goes on to like your Mopo snack channel versus your Don snack. What do you think was the main difference, like the branding versus rebranding type of it?
So Mopo was I did these like early JonTron, Ego Raptor, like Scott the Woz type of video essay things, and just nothing was really working. I don't think I'm that great at video essays, in all honesty. I mean, I've done some sort of on my new channel, but what happened was it wasn't really working out for me. Like nothing was getting views, and I was working for Dylan for a while at this point, and some of my friends and mentor figures, big mentor for me was Carthus Dojo, kind of was like, hey man, like you edit for Dylan, and it clearly works because that channel was like blowing up. And he's like, what if like you sacrificed some of like your passion? If you really want to commit to this, try to make like a second channel to where you know, just kind of like shill a little bit, just sell out. And I hated that idea, but it worked for sure. And the idea initially was to just like do Don stuff. I think it was called Shnack Plays at first, as like the moneymaker, and then try to redirect people to Mopo, which is the stuff that I cared about. But then I really started to enjoy the Don stuff. I think what really started it was my first Curry Nuzlocke, where I kind of told a little bit of a story, and I was like, wait, I actually like this a lot. And what I basically did was just like abandon the video essay stuff, maintain the Don Shnack stuff, and then just took my vision for Mopo and then basically imbued it into Don. Because the idea with Mopo is I wanted to have this like video essay channel where like every video had a different framing device, a different vibe. Like one video was it started off small. Like I changed my costume every time. Like I did like a Metroid vid where I wore like a jacket with like this futuristic looking visor. I did a Pokemon vid where I dressed up as a researcher. You know, like I wanted to have this different like vibe with each video. But now with Don, I'm like leaning into that way more, where every series that I do is way more stylistically different. And so that's kind of how it evolved from there. It started out as like a pretty tactical choice, but then it ended up being something where I was just kind of like, oh, this works out better actually. Like this is something that's more successful for me. I'm better at it, I think, and I'm having more fun. Like I'm able to take the stuff that I like from doing the video essays and then put it into the Don stuff. So it really all worked out in the end.
Do you think you kind of needed your content creator friends to lead you in the right direction? Because it's like they didn't make your videos, but they kind of told you what you were doing wrong, because you edited for Dylan and knew what you needed to do for Dylan to help his channel grow, but you didn't know what to do for yourself.
Yeah, I think I definitely need them. I'm a firm believer of anyone that's like really successful, they didn't get there on their own. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are super successful in the space that like all it took was one key advice from somebody, and that's like what started them skyrocketing. I think of like Wolfie Glick is a good example. You know, Pokemon World Champion, whatever the hell. He's someone I talked to recently, and like his videos weren't doing that great, and it took like one advice from somebody like, hey, why don't you try this? And then it's like, oh, you're now at like 2 million subs and you're doing great, and you're a big old household name in the Pokemon space. So I definitely took, because what's hard is sometimes you keep telling yourself like, this is my path, this is my path, this is my path, and it's hard for you to reconsider like other options outside of like I would consider certain things, but never once I was thinking like maybe I should make a Then We Fight type of video. And it took like the idea of a friend, especially one that I like really respect their credentials and their knowledge, to just be like, okay, it's a fair point. Like, okay, I see this vision now. You know more than me. You're very successful. Like maybe I should hop on this idea. So, and it worked. It worked out great. So I think it did. It definitely. The outside help, I think, was kind of, at least for me, I'm not saying everybody, maybe someone out there is a brainiac and they can figure this stuff out by themselves. Good for you. I am not one of those people. But for me specifically, that outside help definitely, I think, made that decision for me.
Yeah, because I know I had asked you a question one time. So I was like, I felt really stagnant at one point. I mean, I am still kind of stagnant, but I'm not really too focused on it at this point because I was doing video game stuff. But I had tried experimenting on a second channel just like you. And my reactions, for some reason, did a lot better in performance than like this channel. Like with a reaction, like the numbers varied, while with like my original content, it kind of like the numbers are consistent, like at 20 views every time, and it's just like, dang, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm like, you would think original content would do better than like a reaction, but it's like, nope, just the reverse. So it was just like, because it can't be the thumbnails, for someone, like for myself looking, it's like, because I'm doing basically like the same thumbnail. So it's like, looking, it's just like, is it just like, because there's like some other person's brand on the reaction, it's just like, oh, this might be more interesting. And so it's just like, oh, am I just supposed to leech off of others in order to get success? Or is it like, oh, you can still build yourself up, but it's just like you have to figure out what really works, and it's just gonna keep taking a while to get there. Like you really need that one piece of advice. Does that make sense, or is like what I just said?
No, it makes total sense. I think I mean, in regards to like your being perplexed about the reaction stuff, I think like there are more factors involved, and for us to really answer that question, we'd have to dive into it a lot more. But I think the main thing regarding what you said at the last bit there is, I think people are way too afraid. I say this all the time on the stream. People are so afraid to fail, and it's like that is the best thing you can do. Is like fail, look at yourself, recognize what are you doing wrong, like what are you contributing to the space, like what is there to do, and then like pivot. You know, especially if you're at ground zero. Especially, I think like smaller creators have a really hard time of like, oh, I don't want to pivot. I don't want to pivot because like what if I lose my following? It's like, dog, you barely even started yet. You know, like those 3 fans that you got, like they'll either follow you or they won't, but you have space to build. You know, I think it's a beautiful time being in that small point, because you have the most creative freedom that you'll ever get, honestly. Like it's to reinvent yourself, it's only going to get harder and harder as you go on, if that makes sense. That's what I meant there primarily. I wasn't trying to like dunk on smaller creators in saying that. I was more so speaking on behalf of myself when I was a lot smaller, because that's what I had thought, like, oh, if I switch like with those people that like watch me and enjoy me, would they care? And they ended up like sticking with me, you know. But ultimately, if I lost them, I think in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't be as hurtful as I thought it was, you know. So don't be afraid to like try something new, and if it doesn't work, then try something new again, you know.
I think it's more so, it's like kind of feels like a sellout if you're like, oh, you're not gonna be there for your OG fans type of thing. But it's like at the same time, it's just like, why wouldn't your OG fans follow you if it's just like if they were there for you and not like your content type of scenario? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think what stinks is like, you know, a part of the job is like selling out a little bit. Like, I like to build this like thing of myself as like, well, that's true. I mean, I like to make these like a big part of my mission statement, which I think something every creator should have is like, I want to like, you should be able to explain what you are and like how you're different to people within a few sentences. And I like to think that I'm like someone that's like, this is what I want to see these stream highlights becoming, like something that's more like movie-esque, you know, with like a little more production value, that's like once a month. And that's like a beautiful, creative, artsy-fartsy thing. I still got sponsors in all my video. That's not part of the creative vision, you know. That's just me trying to get rent paid, and that's just the bottom line. So ultimately, you got to do what's best for you at the end of the day, and channel performance and whatnot. Because it's either you stay at the bottom and maintain all of your fun integrity and stuff like that, or like you just chill out. You don't have to chill out entirely, you know, just like 20-30%, just whatever's enough to like get by.
Yeah,
you know, and that's everybody.
Yeah.
That's everybody. That's every actor. They had to do toothpaste commercials at some point. You know, it's not like that creatively fulfills them. That's just part of like making bread. That's part of making a living.
Yeah, because I think even your viewers are aware, not like yours specific, but like viewers are aware of that, because I remember one time I was just like, dang, chat, what if I got sponsored by like Raid Shadow Legends, even though the game is not even that good, quote unquote, allegedly. They're like, I mean, if you need the bread, you need the bread. So like, it was just like, I mean, but they're like, money is money. So it's just like, wait, I thought you guys would be opposed to it. It's just like, hey, listen, rent's due. I was just like, okay, I thought you guys want authenticity. It's just like, I mean, we do, but at least you're being honest about it. So it's just like, sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess. So it's a weird scenario.
It's funny that you bring up Raid specifically, because I feel like Raid is like the YouTube sponsor of all time, to where like I think people see the Raid ad and they attach like no feeling towards it because they're so desensitized to seeing it, to the point where it's just like, this creator is receiving a paycheck, and like that is the bottom line. Like, as a viewer, I have no judgment towards this person for pushing this product, other than the fact that they are getting more money, and good for them. You know, like I see that Raid logo, I just skip unless they're like really funny at making ads. You know, it's kind of interesting. I mean, 10 years ago, people were really critical of anyone taking on sponsors. But now I think people are more accustomed to that. So it's like, and people deserve, you know, you're a hardworking person, you deserve a little extra cheddar here and there. Like, why not?
Exactly. So branding and rebranding. So, dang, I was really doing that whole what's it called, stalking or whatever, when they be like, the girls be going looking at the Insta, YouTube, whatever, that stuff, and I was looking at the Mopo Snack versus Don, and your Mopo Snack Forbes top 10 underrated YouTube funny. I make Nintendo videos, editor of United Plays, versus Don Snack. I am the Don. Also, I am very autistic. You're. Do you want to show off that autism side more, or like, how come you think that's a better branding than your original one? Like, how does that show up more?
I feel like YouTube bios don't matter.
Yeah.
At all, really. So I kind of just did that. Like, I'm like, all right, what's this channel about? And I'm just like, yeah, I am autistic as hell. Like, that's, I make jokes about it all the time. That's primarily why it's there, honestly, in case I make a joke and people get like offended thinking that I'm using it in a derogatory sense. And like, you can just check my bio and like, oh no, he's actually game, you know, like he's like that. And that's primarily what it's there. But I also think too, it's nice to like to present that. I've gotten many comments where people are like, I'm glad this he's so vocal about it. It makes me feel more accepted. It makes me feel more like I have a place of belonging. Because I think even though autistic people aren't marginalized in the same way as like members of the LGBT or minorities, there's still like a more intrinsic sense of not belonging. Like, you're kind of told all your life that you're different, and that can like really manifest in ways in which you just feel like a mistake. That happened to me a lot growing up. So if like any creator, I guess, as stupid or as dumb like as me, can like make someone feel more like they're belonging to something, then like that's cool too. I mean, it's primarily there just so I can hide my ass for jokes, but like it's also, you know, if it makes someone feel better about themselves, then like awesome. And I like that.
Because I've been having to do so many different brandings because my first brand was, I was supposed to be a quote unquote princess, but people were like, your voice doesn't feel like princess. It like you're not a cute kawaii anime girl. And I was just like, okay. So then like this year, like chat's like, you should go for like the villainous aesthetic. I was like, you know what, I think I agree, because it was hard trying to just not like with the princess. I felt like I had to be kind of like too nice, like, you know, if like chat was being mean, I couldn't be vocal like and be like, oh, like that's enough or something like that. So like with the villains, it's like I felt like I could be a bit more vocal and be like, oh no, that's enough. But the thing is, at the same time, I had like a bio, right? And even though the bio literally said this is clearly satire, some people would still take it like too hard. It's just like one of the lines like, so don't forget to pay up, pay pigs, even though that literally says, P.S. this is satire, hee. If you're like really taking it for granted, I was just like, I don't know if it's because like you guys expect that I would do anything for money, or is this because you guys cannot understand a joke type of thing, or it's just like branding really is important, and it's like, I don't know, what's your take with like how to
I think
portray yourself
in that specific case, I think it's more so like you will always find people that don't get the joke. I've had that billions and billions of times, and that's just okay. Like you just have to accept that like just some people are a little obtuse in that regard. Like people are just not going to understand it, which is, you know, I think fine. In terms of branding though, I think branding is less about who you are, I think, on YouTube, and more so like what you can provide. Like when I think of, like for myself, I think what my brand is, it goes back to what I was saying with like a mission statement, is I'm someone that does like your small ant, your alpha red, whatever, like stream cut ups, except I have different framing devices and make like more in-depth stories like with the stuff that I do. And I think that's what brand is, and I think that's actually like everything with doing YouTube. Like you want to be like the blank guy, like you want to have something that people associate you with, and I think that's like honestly the strongest point of getting any sort of performance, because then you're really just like expressing like, this is who I am and this is how I'm different from other people. You know, because I think other people are just kind of like, oh, I want to do what this person does. And it's like, okay, so your brand is this person. Why would I watch you when I can go watch this person? You know, I think personality is definitely a huge part of it as well, but that's not part of the mission statement, because we're at a point in the website where like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm doing what like Small Ant does, but I have a different personality. That's not going to cut it. You really can't. You can't sell that to people. You know, I mean, you can, especially if you're like friends with him and you like collab with him. But then I think that creates a different problem to where you don't have your own identity. You know, you're kind of like an orbiter of this person. But I think like trying to like figure out like artistically, like what do I provide to people? Like what would someone describe me as that's different than everyone else is like really how you really make something on here that's like special. And I think that's what leads to success. Like you can look at anybody that's like at the top and they kind of like made their own niche for themselves type of thing.
Like with VTubers per se, like isn't the whole thing is their personality though? Because like
oh, I got no clue about VTubers. That's a different realm of the internet. That's a whole different like y'all, like you guys have like lore and like your background and layout matters, when like if you look at like any regular streamer, their background doesn't mean anything, and most of them just won't have one. Yeah. You know, like I feel like it's a whole different ballpark that I'm unbeknownst to.
That's the one thing. I was just like, don't you think it's low-key kind of different from VTubers though? You're like, oh yeah, you kind of got me there. I don't know.
No, for sure. I mean, I guess that goes into like streaming, and like video making is a different ballpark. I would primarily consider myself someone that makes videos rather than someone that focuses on streams. And I think those are different paths to success there, completely.
Yeah, I mean, but what if like a VTuber's trying to become like a video maker? Would it the same thing apply, or you think it would still kind of be different because of like the expectations are different at this point?
I think it would be then it would still be the same thing, because I think YouTube, people that watch YouTube still, view it that way. You're still playing on the same platform. I think you'd still have to provide something different in the videos that you make, and try to make something like interesting, that's new, that's your own, that's like, oh, and that could be as simple as like, oh, someone does this for this game, I can do it for this game, and it's like, that's even building out your own little hole right there, or at least starting to. But I think I think with the streaming element, obviously it's different, and I have way less experience or knowledge in that regard, but I think for videos it's still like a similar mindset. Like, I still think you should like try to focus on what's being provided there to people.
So we're talking about collabs. So I approached you. I was just like, yo, you want to do an interview? And I'm a very direct person, because I was just like, you have to shoot your shot. If you don't shoot your shot, you're never gonna achieve your goal. Because like with the workforce, there's usually a certain professionalism you need to have, like, because I noticed, like, when I was working professionalism, there is a thing where you have to be more soft-spoken in certain cases and more direct in other cases. So you think YouTube's kind of the same way?
I never thought about that. I think I mean, in terms of the difference being just like an interesting idea there, but in terms of like, I don't know, like how you can come off to people and vice versa, it definitely matters. I think what's hard about the internet age that we live in today is people are so they're very, like, you could say something to someone, they don't answer, and then go into like a Discord and just be like, oh, this person, like it's never been so easy to just kind of like go behind people, if that makes sense. I think what mostly matters is how open people are just in general. Like for me, I am someone that I am the worst people pleaser manageable. I am such a freaking golden retriever, even though I don't come off that way, because I'm pretty brash too, as you probably know. Like the way I'm on live streaming, I'm just like, I don't want to say it, but I would be saying like F you to everybody, like with the South Jersey Italian dialect. But I think it's just up to the individual. And how, because I met people that are like, yeah, I think everyone's fake on YouTube, and I'm like, I just think everyone's just trying to do their own thing, and like, I'm down for whatever, as long as people ask me. Like my yes to no ratio is crazy, so I'm like, yeah. And plus I've recognized you from like way back in the day, so I think it's always cool when someone's like, damn, you were there during the Mopo arc. Yeah. I felt more inclined to hop on. And also too, like, everyone wants to talk about their come up. Everyone wants to talk about the nitty gritty of their job. I'm not talking about this to my girlfriend or anyone in my real life, because no one cares. So it's like, this is my first time to really talk about things that have a conversation about things that inspire me creatively and like the job that I do. I do think, going back to the actual answer that you were looking for, I think mostly it's like up to the individual, like who's very open and who's been hurt in the past, that like maybe has a wall up more so.
Oh, I know etiquettes to it, if there's a better way to put it, because when I was working in game development, right, you could have a direct approach or a more, what's it called, generosity, and like
etiquette.
I wouldn't say etiquette, it's like understanding, like, like, let's say you were sick, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be sick for the week or something like that. It's just like the deadline's in a week. It's like, you're not understanding another person. Compassionate, I guess it's compassionate. Yes. And it's yeah, and it's like because sometimes when I text, because I'm someone who really just wants to make sure I respond to a person. Sometimes I don't like double read what I say or something. I'm very confused with what I say sometimes. So it's just like, because I'm so direct, it's not like, oh, you wanna do this? It's like, oh, let's do this. And it's like, instead of it's me like asking, it's more telling approach. So that's why it feels more direct. And it's like, it could come off more like I'm not being considerate of you, I'm more asking of you. And I guess that's what it is. It's like, I guess in the gender perspective, it's just like I'm not really when it's a dude. They can understand it's not really asking because it's just like, oh, are you down for this? Nah, okay, that's cool. But like for a woman, and they might be like, oh, why is she so demanding? So I guess because you mentioned it in like the gender type of way, is because since she's not very nice with the words, it feels more, oh, why is she so demanding of doing it this time, XYZ. So does that make more sense?
I think I'm following.
Yeah.
I think it's I mean, communication is like a whole.
Yeah.
That's actually what I studied in college. It's like a whole. That's like a whole different realm, right? In the ways in which people come off, and I think it's, and everyone does it. No one like strikes up a phone call to propose these things. It's always done via Discord messages or emails or something, and it honestly sucks because then like things like like. I don't think intentionality is a word. Motive. There we go. That's intentionality, but for smart people. Motive is not present. Inflection, things of that sort. So it's up to, I think, the respondent of said messages. Like maybe you're someone that's more, you said like less question, more kind of like not commanding, but like more matter of fact when you speak. Maybe that comes off as more jocular or more like jocular, how do I pronounce that word? Jocular? I don't know. I'm talking like an idiot right now. More like humorous, that's a better word. When you're talking over a phone call or like, oh, this person's just kind of chill. They just are just kind of like more blunt, but over a text messages, like people will analyze the use of a period, whether they do it intentionally or not, and that's fair. Like we've all got a text where someone just says one word with a period. That is so much more ominous than just saying like without the period.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a rabbit hole. I don't know. I guess the only takeaway from that to like improve is if someone is acting weird or in regards to something you say, maybe kind of look back and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said this, or maybe I should be more like fluffy with my talk. I feel like when I message someone like recently I did a Mario Kart collaborative project with a bunch of people. There was one person I've never worked with, and I was kind of like the two emoji fingers pointing at one another, like, hey, if you don't want to say yes, it's totally okay. We never talked before, but like I'm doing this Mario Kart thing, and like, don't feel free to say yes, but like if you want to do it, that's kind of cool, like it's just trying to make it like as safe for the person as possible. Be like, hey, I'm not weird, and I probably came off like a weirdo, but they still said yes, so it worked out. It's hard. It's definitely hard. No one knows how to do it right.
Yeah, so speaking of how you get to collab, because you just mentioned you never talk to people, like, do you think your platform makes it easier to talk to people? Like, let's say you were someone with still at 1K subscriber. You think it's harder for people to take you seriously to do collabs than if you are where you at right now?
Oh, honey, 1,000,000,000%. That is the only thing a sub count is good for is reputation. As we mentioned before, like if you change, if I was like, guys, gamers, members of the Don Shnack family, I'm gonna do Call of Duty content from here on out, I'm back to 0. Even if my sub count is like 270, I'm back to 0. But I think what it does, all it does is it tells people like, oh, this person's for real. There's some sort of benefit I could gain from this, or like that's primarily it, and I mean, there's also like, obviously if someone's like 1K subs but they're making like Martin Scorsese god tier level stuff, like I check out their stuff and I'm like, oh, this person's the GOAT, we're back, like I have a couple of those right now where I'm like, you have potential, like I want to work with you. But I definitely think if I were to randomly go up to somebody and be like, hey, do you want to work with me on this video, there's much more of a chance of them saying yes if I have like 300 subs or 300,000 subs, excuse me, versus 300. And that's all the numbers really good for right there. It's just the way people look at you, which is, shallow and stinky, but I'm not going to say that's humanity, but that just makes sense. That's kind of why the number's really there. So yeah, I would definitely say yes, that is the case.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is. Like for me, I kind of have to see someone's like experience, as in like how long they've been on YouTube. Because if someone with like, let's say 1,000 subscribers only been on YouTube for like 3 days or something, it's just like, well, why you want to do a collab with me? Like, it's just like, do you even know what my content's about, or X, Y, and Z? because it's just like, what are you looking to do with the collab? It's kind of sus. It's giving a kind of sus vibe. Compared to someone with like 5 years of experience, it's just like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I may have like 5K subscribers, but like my content is about Pokemon. I know you like Pokemon, so let's talk about Pokemon together or something like that. I'll be like, okay, I might be down to discuss. You know, let me just see more about your content first to see if like we're on the same wavelength or something like that. So, what is there like certain type of ethic, or do you usually just be like, let's talk to this person on Discord or on Twitter, or do you just like go on a business email, be like, let's do a collab?
I recently come to terms with like my production cycle is so weird that I've actually like not sworn off, but like I don't do collabs that often. You know, if we look, I'm looking at my like videography right now, or filmographies, I guess, or I guess both work. Like my Pikmin video, that's me. Mario Kart is the exception. I made that with the intent of doing a big collab, stepping out of my comfort zone. But like my last 8 videos, only one of them is really featuring other people playing games. But I still love working with people. I think the worst part of this job is I'm trapped in a room editing by myself. I'm on Discord calls a lot with people, but even then, that doesn't compare to face. So I found my own way of collaborating with people in the form of like voice actors and things of that sort that I really enjoy, and a lot of people have fun with. Even my big 4-hour Pikmin video, I had like an actual person that's pursuing voice acting hop on that, and that was really cool. She's a lovely person. But I think the way that I approach it is I haven't really had to reach out to people that much. I typically include my friends or people that I think would like add to my project, or sometimes with these voice acting roles, since I'm making these little movies, I kind of build the roles around the person, and it's just like a lot of fun for me. Like someone will do a character in a Discord call as like a joke, and then I'm like, all right, we're putting that in the video, and like I think this will make me really happy and make other people really happy. But in terms of the Mario Kart video, because that's like the first time in a while where I really had to reach out to others and do like a big collab. There were a few people that I like never really spoken to, and the way I would reach out is just kind of like, hey, this is me. Don't know if you're familiar. I know we've never spoke, but I'm trying to do this. If you're down, that's awesome. If you're not, totally understand. You know, I'm just trying to be normal about it. I suppose. And that had like there was one person that just never answered me, and I was kind of like, oh, I wonder if I'm weird. But I try not to think about it too much because there's like a billion other reasons as to why that could be the case. It could be as simple as they just don't look at Discord, you know. But even in that Mario Kart video, I had Failboat on it. That's a friend. Vernius on it. That's a friend. Jace, or Carthu, friend. Most people that I don't talk to that often. Alpharad is someone that like I'm not really like super close with or anything, but like I've done stuff for him. I felt like it's totally in the ballpark to ask him something for me. The only 2 people that I really had to like reach out to was PK Sparks, who was on that video, and he's someone that I had contacted in the past, but we had a mutual friend, which makes it much easier, you know, if that person can vouch for you. And same with I'm blanking on his name, which is so disrespectful. Hold on, let me look real quick. I'm so silly right now. I know their name, I'm just blanking. J-Moji, who was in that Mario Kart video. He's the person that I never really spoke to. But like we were both friends with Failboat. He was even familiar with my stuff. So, and that's another thing too, when you're bigger, people are familiar with your game, you know, and that's so much easier to build credentials. Like, oh yeah, I already know you. I already like you. We never talked, but I already know you and like you, which is weird, but that can be beneficial as well. So it's I think it's always easier too to try to like hit up people that like there's some sort of like commonality, you know, like, oh, they might know who I am. You don't want to assume that because that's arrogant as heck. But like, oh, we're both friends with this person. Like that's easy money, you know.
Okay. For video editing, as an editor, do you become like kind of well established in the YouTube industry, or is it like because you worked for King Corfish and then you became Dylan's editor, and then you said you did stuff for Alpharad, is like based off of networking, or did you have to like kind of get the connections yourself? Like, was it like Dylan or Ryan told you to work for Dylan, or you had to go yourself to get that job?
So I think it does. If you're snazzy with it, you can like build a repertoire for yourself. It's so cool how that works. I like it because I work for Ryan, who you're familiar with Core 4. He was like the smallest out of the 4, I think.
Yes.
But I think like it was a matter of like him just showing me off to his friends, and then me building up more of a repertoire of Ryan. I eventually met all the people that he works with in person, and then at a certain point, I think with Dylan, it got complicated. So Ryan took like a hiatus for a while, and it was very abrupt. It was I can't give any details, but I was just kind of like, well, I have nothing to freaking do. So it gave me a good opportunity to like just like throw my hat out there into the ring. Like I was on Twitter. People be like, hey, I'm looking for these commissions. I'm looking for these commissions. I did sprite work for people for like little stream alerts. I did a bunch of one-off edits for people, and I think you get your rep up a little bit, especially because people don't recognize how valuable editors are. Editors have way more power than a lot of them know half the time, because like to find a good one that's also, I think at the time too, I wasn't like 17. I was looking for a job, so I had a clear work ethic. I had like, it was my top priority. For other people in college, it's like, oh, you still have to balance like classes. I'm on the back burner. For me, I was someone that had a good work ethic. I had, not to stroke myself here, but like I had talent in some regard, and I think I was like a reliable person. So like that word of mouth got around to a point where then people were starting to hit me up. So I think all it takes is like one good string with a client. Especially one that can talk you up to other people that likes to brag, like, yo, look at my editor that I got. Because sometimes it can be like a brag-worthy thing, which I think is funny. And I think that's how I kind of built myself up. With Alpharet specifically, I just filled out an application, and then just submitted my work. And then he was just kind of like, hey, like, you're good, like, let's do this. But for most of the Pokemon community, a lot of it was word of mouth. And like people coming to me like, hey, I heard you're nice with it. Like, would you be down to do this for me? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah, with King Court, because I used to watch all the boys back then, back in my college days, back when I was a young lad. Yeah, even though he was the smallest, I know a lot of people were like, oh, but I see a lot of potential in you, young laddie. And so it was just like, that goes to show again, like the numbers really didn't matter. It was just like his personality was always outshined. I do see he still goes on hiatus and whatnot. I think he's still is it that he's his own editor now or something like that? Because I do see he doesn't really do as much as other people.
I don't really know, to be honest. That's like his prerogative, I guess.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is that I also see like the other ones are just like y'all's well, they doing PokeTubing still, which is kind of crazy. PokeTubing atmosphere is something else, that's for sure. And the way they're going about with the ideas is you really gotta be really innovative with this PokeTuber stuff. It's just like Pokemon, but you have to do like, there's only 5 Pokemon, but X, Y, and Z. It's just like, oh my goodness, I don't know how inventive you can get with Pokemon at this point. Like, at this point, you gotta make your own Pokemon game to stay relevant, low key. But I think it's kind of interesting too, is just because how much they've been going out there and like Vinny, he made Vintenland or something like that.
Nintendo,
yeah. And I'm just kind of like, wow, these boys are going out there and doing some crazy work. So it's just very interesting to see how everyone's career is going. So yeah, how has it been seeing each other's journey like from the beginning to end and continuously?
I mean, I think in regards to like a lot of the friends that I have that do Pokemon stuff, you can see everyone, like, you could see people who adapted and how that worked out for them. Like, you're talking about how you watch Core 4. That's not really a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time they did a project? And that's because, like, Let's Plays are just kind of dead.
Yeah.
I think live streaming took over. Yeah. But you could see that, like, people like Dylan and Vinny kind of adapted those, like, then we fight type of things. And that's, like, they're not dead. you know, or Frank, I think's had the coolest. Frank's like one of the best creators out there
He does some
now,
crazy stuff.
in my opinion. It's awesome. Yeah, he's my creative rival, whether he's conscious of it or not. Like, I watch his stuff and I'm like, I want to be that good, and like he challenges me to do better, which is like so much cooler than friggin' randomizer Nuzlocke bullcrap.
I know.
But
yeah, he did like Persona that took off, and then he started changing his content, which was something that like we were talking about how like you either have the zero fans or like people who stick with you, and like he somehow made it work. Like he literally was like, I'm gonna play Persona, and he started having a huge boost like straight off the bat.
it's I think his big thing actually, because Persona and Pokemon, it's interesting how like, especially in the gaming space, like certain, I always joke to friends I want to make a Venn diagram of like what series kind of like overlap and intermingle with each other. I think Pokemon and Persona, I think Pokemon has more in line with like normie anime stuff, like Shonen and Persona, than like general Nintendo. But that's a different discussion. And that's debatable too. I don't think I'm entirely correct in saying that, but it feels like that sometimes. But I think with Frank, he's actually a really interesting case study on how you can like adapt and evolve your career, because he did like this Let's Play stuff, and then he's doing what he does now, which I guess for anyone that's watching this that's uninformed, it's like these like pretty high concept, like once a month videos that like involve a lot of like use of Blender, a lot of use of like, it's just his own unique thing. He even uses his font that he uses is his actual handwriting. Like it's like these really cool videos. Everyone should check it out. But it didn't happen like overnight. Like first he tried doing kind of like Then We Fight style type of stuff, and you can see like this gradual evolution if you go through his whole filmography. I guess the word is his catalog. And it goes to show like he's a great example of someone that like kept throwing things at the wall, seeing what stuck, seeing what didn't, and finally evolving into something that's like much better than what we started out with. I think I did a similar journey, but I think it was weirder because I uploaded like once every 2 months and was editing for somebody else, and it was just more complicated. But he has like a much stronger through line in his little journey. So I think he's been like a really interesting person to watch. I love Frank.
Why do you think the Let's Plays kind of died down? Because I know there's the exception of like Corey Kenshin, or I think maybe even Queso too, who can kind of do that. Because like I think Corey does like some crazy editing, and it's like he was known for putting that into the platform. So like people just get excited because he's also the type who like brings in like 5 episodes and then leaves for a year. So they're like, oh,
yeah,
man, time to bitch out
Corey.
this content.
The Corey, yeah. I mean, I think what's interesting, I always start with a side tangent, but I promise it'll come back to the main point. A lot of people like to give advice, like a general. I remember when I was initially growing, I really like researched this stuff, and a lot of things that I heard was like, oh, what do your favorite creators do? Like try to like understand that and mimic that in a way. And I think that's actually like not good advice. You have to be more specific. Because, or I'm stupid, which is always a possibility, because what I would do is I would take away the wrong things. Like I'm like, oh, I really like this creator's intro, and intros are just not good anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so I was like, oh, all these people that I watch have intros, let me make my own. And I think someone like Corey Kenshin, they're from a different era, like when they initially blowed up, and it's kind of weird for them to change their style and whatnot. So sometimes you have people that can just get away with like doing the same shtick for a while because they're just like, you know, there's a certain threshold that you pass where you're just like, I'm that guy, I'm that big. Obviously you'll have to adapt at some point, but I think for the greater, like the bigger established creators, that timeline is a lot more different. So all that's to say is I think like people like Markiplier, I don't even know if Markiplier is still doing them, or like Corey, they can still do the regular like 2017 Let's Play and make bank off of that and do completely fine. But I think Let's Plays are dead for a couple reasons. I think live streaming is the biggest one. If you look at it at like a pretty, like a pros and cons, like a Let's Play, you can have editing, but most of them really didn't. And then if you edit a Let's Play enough, it's not really considered a Let's Play anymore. But I think the big thing about Let's Plays was the interaction, the feeling of like, oh, I'm just like watching this person play a game. It has that comfy feeling of like watching a friend while they play like on the same couch in a really weird, gross parasocial way. Not criticizing Let's Plays or live streams and saying that. It just sounds weird when I say it. But with a live stream, you do that, but also it's in real time, and you can like talk to the creator and actually like see yourself on screen in a way if they have the chat up there, you know, or have the person actually like respond to you. So I just like, I think if you put it in a very pragmatic sense like that, it makes sense that this more popular and new thing will just make the old thing obsolete. I also think YouTube is becoming so saturated with new people. It's never been so easy to make things online, to where naturally the threshold of like making better things has gone up, if that makes sense. And that's just gonna happen in any medium, because people complain about that with YouTube, like, oh, YouTube's better. I kind of push back on that idea a little bit, because you can see it with television, right? Like the sitcom was the king of TV in like the 2000s, the 90s. But then once studios got better, once the technology got better, once more people had better ideas, now you'll see like TV shows that are just like super long movies, like Game of Thrones, you know? And so it's just natural that like things are gonna be better. And like when enough people are doing something, only those that have like a higher production value or like have more unique ideas are gonna like climb more, while like the things that everyone else is doing are going to become a little bit more obsolete. So I think it's just like a natural form of art progressing, as well as the live stream kind of just making them obsolete.
Production value, like your recent video was like 3.5 hours, was it?
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, I don't think length really equals production value, but that still was like a 3.5-hour video that was like edited, had music, had a story.
Pikmin 4, yeah. Pikmin 4 was
it's
a
long game. It's a long game.
I was just like, dang. And you know what's funny? So I had watched one of your live streams or something, and you're like, dang, I don't know who has the patience to watch a 7-hour retrospective, right? And then here you are making like a 4-hour video game thing. But then I go back to find the retrospective, and I see one that's like 42 hours. That's like, wait, YouTube could upload 42-hour video?
Quitting reviews. I think that's what I was talking about.
Yes, I didn't want to mention the name because I didn't know if you wanted me to, but yes. And I was just like, bro, just really uploaded a 42-hour retro. That's insane. I was just like, what? And then there's people watching it. I was just like, I guess retrospectives are like now the thing. I was just like, oh my goodness, like, but like it's funny because like you could watch a whole TV series and be like, oh yeah, that was nothing. But then when you watch a retrospective, it's like 8 hours instead of just watching it myself. I don't know. It's just a kind of funny concept to think about. So
it's yeah, it's interesting. I think now YouTube, we're living in a weird era where like it really rewards length again. It was like, I remember when I first started, it was all about making things really short.
Yes.
Because retention was king, but now it's about like watch time. That's kind of lame about modern YouTube. Okay, I mean, I'm personally benefiting from it right now because I like making like hour-long videos. I just think it like provides an experience where the viewer can walk away feeling something a lot more, because you have more time to develop things, you have more time to convey like a story, make emotion, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I mean with Quentin, that's kind of like that's become his niche. It's like, I'm gonna become the super long video guy, and like it kind of worked for him. You know, love it or hate it, it worked for him. So you got to respect it.
Yeah. In terms of my
last video, I never like. I mean, I've only recently. That video was actually a wake-up call. I kind of got like a nice, beautiful crash out recently, because I've been doing too much, and my personal life has taken a back seat. And with the videos that I make, it's just becoming like too much on my health, and like too many all-nighters and stuff.
Yeah.
The Pikmin video, I had this vision of, it was like a long-standing series that I've been doing, a big one in fact. And so I was like, okay, I'll make this big finale. It'll be cool. It'll be really long. Pikmin 4 is a really long game, and it's hard to cut out so many things. I definitely could have cut out more, but I think the problem with that video is it became so long to where it gave the vibe of like I'm submitting this essay without like looking it over at the last minute and like just praying for that A-, and I think that's what I got, but that doesn't mean I'm really proud of it. But I think it was just, yeah, that was particularly it for me, was a product of like disorganization and not knowing what to cut out of it. Because sometimes it's hard to make that decision. I mean, it's like, how much do you cut out to where like the video loses its identity? It's a decision a lot of people have to make, I think, or not. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, that's how that video came to be. And it worked. People loved it, and it did well for me. It's still doing pretty decent. But I don't know. I'm like, okay, let's not do this for a while. Like, if I want to do this, let's like make it have proper planning and whatnot. So, but it's, again, people are afraid. I think even though that video succeeded in a way, I think it failed for me in a personal way, and thus it's like that was an important failure because now I can like learn from that moving forward, which is cool.
Final question. What is the best thing you could offer advice for a smaller creator? Even besides like never give up and like the basic answer.
I don't even think never give up. I think that's bad advice, actually. I think this idea that hard work and perseverance pays off is like way too simple of a concept. I think perseverance is the biggest proponent of success. I do believe that, being able to keep going when things get hard. But I think the biggest thing is the three biggest things. Number one, here are the laws of done. Really think about what you want to do, but also what you think things need, right? Like am I just a smaller version of this creator? And that could be fine to start off with, but you're gonna have to iterate at some point. You know, like think of yourself like a fast food chain. If you're coming out like, oh, I'm gonna sell fast food burgers, why would someone come to you if they can just go to McDonald's or In-N-Out? You know, it's like, try to spice things up a little bit. Like, how do you set yourself apart? You can't just be personality. But also, if that's too daunting, it's okay. I think just do. Actually, forget what I just said. Actually, no, what I just said is important. But ultimately, stop thinking and start doing. I think people way too much. I did this. A lot of small creators do this. They talk, they think. They get into the weeds. When it's like, just create something. Because that is the ultimate way for you to actually learn. Is first create, then think. If you have an idea, awesome. Go for it. Even if it's like the worst idea ever. Do it. And then really think critically about why it failed. Try to learn, but also get your mentors in too. Like, try to like branch out, make friends, try to find people that like want to see you succeed. No one does anything without a team. You know, I mean, some people do, they get lucky or they immediately understand this stuff, but most people aren't like that. And I think the two biggest things you can do is just like try to figure out what to like what you want to be, like a mission statement, you know, as A. Actually, I think A is just doing. Like, stop thinking, start doing. Just keep trying. Definitely start like try to figure out who you are on the platform, like what you can provide that's different, and try to find people that you like really trust, that have the credentials, that can like critique you and like lead you down the appropriate path. I think initially my tirade with like don't give up is, I think that's a bad advice, because I think like giving up on certain ideals is really important if you want to have any sort of self-reflection. Like for me, I was like, I'm really going to try to do this video essay thing, but in actuality, like there was nothing much there that was separating me from like Scott the Woz, John Tron, you know, like I was just kind of like a smaller version of that. I wasn't really harping on things that like made me unique as much. I think there was a unique style, but style can only take you so far. So I think like trying to find ways to give up in the correct places too is really important. That's not giving up, I guess. That's just relinquishing your ego, you know. But stop thinking about freaking, oh, I don't want to niche down, you know, like shut up, you idiot, you know. Just make things that work. Like, do the niche. I think finding a niche is more important. You're never stuck. If you're smart enough, if you have the right team behind you, you can get out of there. But like worrying about a niche is worrying about step 30. You're not even at step 1, you know. Like, I think those are the biggest things. That's what I would have told myself back then.
Yeah, with what I'm doing, like the whole interview process. The whole reason I did is well, I was interviewing the cast of my game, my indie project. Artist Choice is free on itch.io for anyone who ever watches this video. And I was just like, I actually have a fun time because I could yap, but it's hard to yap by myself, even if there is a chat there, because chat gets tired, I get tired. But when I have actually someone to yap, I actually can yap a lot. But when I'm by myself, I'm like, I don't know who I'm yapping to, so it's just like. But when there's like someone else I can yap to, I'm like, I can yap for hours. But so I actually enjoy this type of content regardless of like the view count. I'm like, oh well, I find this entertaining, even sometimes.
And That's the biggest thing too, is make sure you like what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you chose this over like an office job because you wanted to find some sort of joy, some sort of purpose. Like, you're not here for the check. So try to balance that too. Like, go for what it works, but like try to figure, like, make sure it's something that's you, you know? And also too, for if you're small, like, there's nothing to lose. You know, like, you don't want to lose your audience. I know that's like, it sounds crummy to say, but like as someone that's larger, like, losing your audience means way more, you know, like losing losing thousands means way more than losing, like, you know, the few people, the OGs that like you. If they really do like you, they'll follow you on that journey, you know. But like, just try to have fun with it and try to figure out like what makes you unique and like what you can offer, and stop thinking about stupid details that don't matter as much.
Yeah, because I know with the Vtuber atmosphere, I was like, I could probably try finance. I was just like, I never heard of a VTuber talk about finance. I don't know if that's actually a smart move, because a lot of people for some reason do not like when VTubers get a little bit too personal, like in terms of talking about IRL content. Let's just talk about like drama. So I was like, I don't know about that. So I was just like, I'll put it back burner. But my mom was saying, what do you bring to the table? Like, you gotta figure out like your product, essentially, even though you don't like that word. She's like, you gotta figure out what is your product. And so I was just like, that's a good question. So I've been reflecting about that for a long time. I was just like, I like to play games, but like, just because I like to play games doesn't mean anything. So it's just like, what can I actually bring to the quote unquote table? It's like a phrase that a lot of people aren't okay with, because it can have a negative connotation. But it's like, it is a question to think about. It's just like, because you mentioned your like your mantra, or like what you bring. It's just like, but like, even like 10 years from now, like, what do you want to be remembered as? Like, for like the Don, like, what does the Don want to be known for? Like, can he still keep up what you're doing now?
I don't think that far into the future.
Okay.
I say this, right? I say that people be like, that's stupid. I'm like, yo, you think in 2010 that COVID would have happened? That Bovid would have happened? You know, like, life is unpredictable. Plan for the long term, but like, I think, you know, think in the short term. That doesn't make any sense. The like long term in terms of like the next, like, subsequent years, you know. I think I create long-term success for myself in building my brand around myself and my talents that I had to provide, and that allowed me to do whatever I wanted, right? Like, I could have maybe just rode off the Pokemon wave. That's the short-term success. But the problem with doing that is Pokemon gets dry. You know, like, right now the Pokemon community is going through a heavy dry spell. I think, I could be wrong, but the point is, there's going to be one. Or if I just stuck with Pikmin, you kidding me? They're getting a new game every 10 years. There's going to be the biggest dry spells, right? So in terms of 10 years from now, I don't know what I could be in television, I could be washed, I could be doing what I'm still doing. But whenever things change, I can rely on myself to adapt. I'll tell you that in 10 years, I'll be adapted to whatever happened in some capacity, but I don't know what I'm doing. But also the nature of the platform could be different. YouTube is way different in 2025 than it is in 2015, you know? So it's a matter of that. I mean, I also just think it rings true. I remember Ludwig once said, like, yeah, after 5 years of doing this, I'm going to stop. I think he's still doing it after 5 years. I think. I could be wrong. I don't think he's going to stop anytime soon. But that still resides, you know? And if whatever I do becomes obsolete, I will have people that, like, can tell me that. I will try to, like, do my best to reflect on that, and I think I'm driven enough and like have the know-how enough to get out of that hole if that ever does happen. I would hope so, maybe. I mean, only the future can tell.
I mean, you still have your degree and then your editing abilities. Would you ever go back to being someone's editor, or like a real life job? Like a
That's like, if I crash out, I know like Dylan would always take me back, and he would treat me well, because that guy's freaking rich. But like, I do toy with the idea of like maybe one day if this all gets like bored for me, I can like join some sort of like writing team, or you know, work in like television or film. I feel like if like I've built enough repertoire, I think that could be like productive, you know. But I don't know, it's fun to think about because I don't get too worried. I'm just kind of like, oh, that could be a fun path to go down. We'll see if like I get there. But I have like a basic plan for the future, but it was never like set in stone, you know. Like my plan since Bovid happened has kind of played out exactly the way it did. Like, I knew I would like kind of make it big enough I would live with my girlfriend in LA. I would ride out the editing gig until this takes off. I got lucky that it all worked out that way, but at least I had some sort of vision. But then, like, right when I got to this point, I don't really have much of a plan. I think now my plan is to just, like, fix things. You know, like, how can I do things the same but a little bit better? You know, how can I, like, you know, I guess make more money a little bit here and there? How can I make more unique videos? How can I make this process a lot less suffocating for me? That's like my current objective, I guess, in life. But 10 years from now, bro, I don't know. I'm gonna have kids. I might be dead. Who knows?
The crash out might happen.
The crash on my I might get. They might find about my my drug dealing and my you know, my underground dogfighting ring, and they just might like cancel me. And it's like, ah, darn, bro, we had a good run, you know, like rats, they got me again.
Oh no, whatever shall they do? They just found out
Yeah,
this
so
video. They're like, oh no. Oh no.
Don Shnack deals crack.
Whatever shall
You know,
they
like
do.
it might just come down to that. But I'm gonna just enjoy it while I can, and just try to like adapt. You can't have a plan. Too much happens in life.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean,
Nintendo could just stop. Then what?
Nintendo gets canceled, which causes you to get canceled.
We could have another Wii U. You know, Switch 2 could just ultimately flop, and it's like, ah, this is tough. You know, like wow.
Imagine
you know?
if it does though. Like what if you
Yeah, like there is so many factors, and I think I built myself in a way where I'm able to adapt. But you know, if I just stuck into Kirby, it's like, oh, we're just done making Kirby games. I'm like, wow, wow, you know.
You know what? If the Switch 2 has a crash out, you could just always play Super Smash Bros. And feel like Sakurai. Did you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's cool about doing retro stuff. Is like it's always good to be there for a little bit. But even then, that audience will age. You know, 10 years from now, the GameCube Wii nostalgia is not going to be a thing anymore. Or maybe it will be if the internet, if people grow up with the internet. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's just a matter of having your wits about you.
Yeah.
Just making sure you're adapting, that you're playing it smart,
So essentially,
step by step.
YouTube is all about adapting
I think life is.
life.
Actually,
Dang.
I think like having a plan just sounds so dumb to me. No, I'm joking. That just like puts people down. But it's funny because my girlfriend's very like plan oriented.
Yeah, I was just
and
like, dang. If you're gonna have a kid one day, you're probably gonna need a bunch of plans.
No, we got plan. It's gotta be. I think you can plan, but just have it like loose. You know, like okay, like this is the. Have a path, not a plan.
Okay.
Yeah, your Vtuber good. I'm on a field day right now.
Listen, this is
I said crashing out. She was like, whoa.
Listen, that's what you get from $25 rigging. Listen.
I think damn, 20, that's actually good. That's a good rig for 25.
I know, right?
But I think like have a plan in a sense of having systems in place to like achieve these goals that you shouldn't have. You know, I think plans and goals, keep them small, keep them basic, keep them abstract. But then like the systems, the way you take life day by day are the things that you should really be fixated on, because plans can go awry. You know, my plan was to get my master's degree in mass media communication. Then lockdown happened. That wasn't, I started building my career as an editor. I realized I don't need this extra year of schooling, you know, or extra 2 years or what have you. You know, I had a professor that sat with me in a Zoom call and was like, and this professor was kind of crazy, which kind of like made her speech to me a little less impactful. But she was like, don't take the masters, you're too talented. Like do something else, go forth, don't make the same mistakes I did, you know. And I was like, all right, like that. Like that was a wake-up call. I actually, she was a nutcase, but I was like, I'm not gonna let that get in the way of like what she actually said. And I left that path for another one, and that was not part of the plan. The original plan was to do that and then find a job out in LA, and I think that was a terrible plan. I didn't have any real experience. My resume was beefy from doing a bunch of activities at school, but it wasn't. I didn't have any internships. I didn't have like on the grounds experience, which is like way more important. So I think like knowing how to adapt and like being ready for anything, having a general path, and like wanting to pursue it and like finding those systems that will get you there is way more important than being like, oh, end of the year, I'm thinking 10K subs. Yeah, you know, it's like, forget that. Just fixate on like, I'm going to upload this many times, and then like seeing where that gets me and try to figure that out from there is like way more important.
The material that you use, how you make sure your material is original and not infringing on copyright?
I only really have to worry about music with copyright.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to do that is to just upload a song unlisted onto YouTube. I do that a lot, and its system is very quick at letting you know. If not, I would give it like a day or two, and then if that's the case, just don't use the song. But really, that's it. I never really had a video like for a visual reason be taken down. You know, I mean, all these copyright laws are so flimsy because, you know, I could randomly get struck one day if someone decides to change their mind about something, right? Like Nintendo used to have that rule back in like the early 2010s where like you had to like pay, I think, or they copyrighted Let's Plays or something of that sort, which was like a really boneheaded decision. But like that is something that could just make a resurgence again. You never know. And there's some creators that like made mods of things and then months later they got struck down. I've knock on wood not had that problem yet, but it's always something that could happen, right? So really it's just music, and it's just as simple as just kind of like I'll upload the song to YouTube, part of the edit, and just see if like YouTube detects it. If not, we're good. If it does, then I'll take it out.
What is your creation process, and what strategies have you found more successful in developing your videos to be engaging?
My process is, I think a lot of the times I start with a framing device. Like recently, I start with a lot of things. I think I just randomly have ideas, right? Like it'll come at any moment. Everyone that wants to do this should be writing things down as they go, like on their notes app. I have a Discord server that's just myself where I write down ideas. I'll also put things on my notes app. It's a little disorganized, but I can like go through the madness. And a lot of times it'll start off with like a very YouTuber-y idea, we'll call it, you know, like for example, I'll talk about my Mario Kart video. It started off as the idea of a tag lock in Pokemon, but doing it for Mario Kart. So a tag lock is a nuzlocke where one creator starts off with the save file. They play up until the first gym. They then give that save file to somebody else, and then they all, like 9 players, beat one game. And the idea was having a bunch of creators play in a bunch of different cups against the CPUs, keep track of the points, and then make it like one giant Grand Prix that we all do together. But there was a lot of complications with that idea. For start, like, how do I keep track of all the points? If every creator does a different Grand Prix, the CPUs are going to change. Do I have to like keep track of their values and then like, you know, make teams for the CPUs? Later I found a mod that does that. But then the second problem was, how do I even make that like interesting? Every video needs a plot, and a plot can be as simple as something changing throughout. For example, if you take any regular neighborhood video game challenge runs, because those are the big things, right? Like, how could I beat Banjo-Kazooie without jumping? The plot has to develop in some way. Like, you get to a certain level where there's a certain obstacle, you know? I actually learned that in the first video I ever made, which was first to catch a shiny Pokemon wins. There's one plot point. We run around, we found the shiny, nothing else really happens. You know, there's no developments, nothing changes. There's a beginning, there's an end. That's why the next first to catch video I made was first to catch a full evolution team. There's plot points, and those plot points are as simple as, all right, you caught your Eevee, I caught my Eevee. You know, there's things that progress throughout. And I felt like, it's like, okay, each person playing Mario Kart is a different plot point, but then it's like they're just doing the same races over and over again on different tracks. So what I wanted to do was give them each a specific challenge that coincides with who they are. So I guess the next step in my process is finding a framing device. Like, yes, I could have just did like a very typical stream cut up of each person racing with each challenge, but that's not who I am. That's not part of my mission statement. I wanted to make it some sort of special thing. And so my framing device consisted of two things: one, a theme, and two, like an actual framing device in the literal sense. So the actual framing device was, I wanted to make it like, I kept calling it Don's 11, like Ocean's 11. I wanted to make it like a heist movie. And I thought what's so really cool about that is the best part of the heist movies for me is when you get the team of these ragtag groups together that all specialize in different things that would never work together in a different, in any other context, right? Like in Ocean's 11, they got like what? Like a set of Mormon twins, some Asian guy that was like in the circus, an explosives expert, you know, this really sweaty white guy that was like the tech expert, you know, it's like all these different people. And I thought that fit perfectly with what I was trying to do. And my theme was like, what would a Don collaboration look like? A lot of people, I think, do collabs in a very boring way. They do it in an optimal way, but it's boring. It's usually like it's the 10 people that always work together. You know, it's the 10 people with the biggest sub counts, you know, because that's how the video does better. It's part of the business. I get it. I'm not disrespecting, but I wanted to make something that like really showed off a lot of like weird people that were super different. Like I wanted Wolfie Glick, the Pokemon World Champion, to do a Mario Kart video. You know, like there was your Alpha Rads, your failed boats. Like, you know, you got to have frontliners, obviously. Like I want the video to do freaking well, but I also wanted like newcomers. And like I had a lot of people come up to me that was like, hey, Don, like the person that was in your video that was like the small creator, like that was my favorite section. And that made me really happy. And I wanted to do that. And I also really wanted to celebrate the people that were in the video, you know, because I think collaborations are just kind of like, all right, this is my friend, they're playing the game now. They don't go in depth at all to who that person is and what they can provide. And I wanted to do that as well. So it all kind of concocted into this beautiful, it's like one of my favorite videos, actually. Like it created this really cohesive and awesome project. And so that's usually my process, is it starts off like a normal YouTube video, and then later I try to figure out how to make it a Don video. The Pikmin randomizer, loads of people have done Pikmin randomizers. So I wanted to do one, but I was like, okay, how do I make myself different? Obviously, if I just make a regular cut up, it's not going to be the same. Like, why would you watch that? Everyone's done that. I wanted to make it a nature like a war documentary. It's kind of naturey, kind of war-y. Wanted to make it a documentary, you know, and that I think had its own vision that made me different, and therefore it warranted, like, yeah, I can do the same thing as everyone else, but if I presented it differently, that could be really interesting, and it worked out for me. But step one is usually coming up with the idea and like a very like plain YouTube kind of way, and then I try to figure out, okay, how can I present this? So it's like initial idea, then like how does the video work? Like, can I make the video interesting? And then it's the framing device and the theme, and like what value does this video have? Usually you should think of like the title and thumbnail first. I have like a decent idea. I could be a lot better with it, but it is what it is, you know. But that's my process. Not saying it's the best process. I think like coming up with title and thumbnail first is really the best one that makes like the best performance. I'm kind of iffy on that, but that's something that I do that's suboptimal. So sorry for the long answer, but that's kind of my process. It's pretty long, and it could be arduous sometimes, but I think that's when I really stick to that, it comes up. I get my most successful works that I'm like the most proud of and that people like a lot. So I'm happy with it, you know.
What I was gonna ask is that you seem to really love the Mario Karts and the Pikmin, even though the Pikmin one was the most tough one to do. Do you think since reflecting the Mario Kart one, it's time to like do another collab sometime soon?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I make fun of like Disney and stuff for pumping out sequels, but then like as a YouTuber, I'm kind of like, oh, like this is why they do it. It's just easy, right? It's like the risk is there's like a demand for it. I guess that's the difference though with me and Disney, is like people are really asking for this stuff. No one's asking for Stitch to have a live action remake, but that's a different story for a different time.
Yep.
But yeah, like I'm definitely doing another Mario Kart. I'm doing another Don's 11 for Mario Kart once the new game comes out. Granted, it might take me a little bit because I have to find people. I have to think of like ways to present it, ways to make it cool, ways to make it interesting. But like, it's definitely something that I want to do. I definitely just want to like collaborate with people more and try to find ways to do that. Because it gets you out of your comfort zone, which I think is awesome. Like, I think everyone should just, it's just the way, that's how you live. is getting out of your comfort zone. It's the best. You create your greatest memories, or I think like the best stuff comes out of getting out of your comfort zone. I used to do improv back in college, which is like kind of dorky, but it was fun, and I think that was all about getting out of your comfort zone, and that really like instilled that into me. And I also just like working with people. I like the idea of I have a vision for what collaborations could be on YouTube. I think a lot of people get comfortable doing the same stuff with the same people. I am definitely a product of that, even though I try to switch up my people a little bit. I definitely have like you'll see the same 4 characters in my vids a lot of the times. So, but I would definitely like to branch out more. But it's hard. It comes with organizational issues, and the way I view it now is I don't want to work with people until I'm definitely like fully ready to do so and commit to that. So right now it's just a matter of like getting my life together before I can really like dive into collaborative projects.
With the collab, have you ever thought of doing one with Kirby? Like, because I know Kirby usually has a multiplayer feature.
Kirby collab ideas. Yeah, I had some ideas for Air Ride. I had this idea of a Kirby Soul Link, so I did all these Nuzlocke. It's still on the back burner. Kirby Nuzlocke, I've kind of been like, I had this like really cool like season finale that I'm very proud of, and the Kirby videos aren't like doing as gas as they used to, and I'm also kind of like burnt out on them a little bit. Like I feel like I had this really cool book ending thing, so I might just wait on that for a little bit. But for Kirby specifically, like I'm not sure if it's just like multiplayer, but I definitely have ideas for doing stuff regarding Kirby, Kerbology,
Kerbo.
Kerbazinga.
I forgot there's this one YouTuber who does Kerbo, the Christian Kerbo. I forgot what he's called though.
Terminal montage. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I love it. How do you analyze your data for YouTube, because you don't use vidIQ? So what tools do you use?
Just the stuff that they present to me, as well as like I have certain key figures whose ideas I really respect. As I said, Carthu and my friend Copa, both have different views, and I think I'm educated enough on this stuff where I have a different view from all 3 of them. But I'll like talk to myself as well as both of them, and then try to figure out like what stuff I deem as the correct answer, kind of like the path moving forward. Like recently with the stand that I'm kind of taking with like, all right, let's not make things super duper freaking long. Like I think a lot of the stuff that Copa told me regarding that stuff was very valuable. But sometimes like fixing the Mario Kart title and thumbnail, Carthu was the one that like really helped me out and was like, yeah, I think your value prop, like I think you're underselling the idea. And I was like, oh shoot, like that's it, like he got it. But primarily I think it's just like knowing what analytics to really focus on, and making, I don't really even check out that much. I think a lot of it too is I think I do a decent job of trying to understand like other factors that analytics won't tell you. I think some people get too deep into it. Like for example, lately my Kirby Nuzlocke do fantastic at first, and then they have like no longevity. And I think Kirby is just going through a bit of a dry spout, and that is something that like none of the analytics will tell you. But that's just something I've inferred from like, you know, looking at that data versus other things that have done well for me that like go on forever. And then like talking to other people, like I'm friends with like Failboat. I haven't even talked to him about this necessarily, but you can see he's trying to dip his toes into other things. He's primarily like a Kirby guy, and he'll still do Kirby stuff. But like recently, you know, like he'll do other stuff. I'm looking at his channel right now. He did like a Mario Party video recently. Just a regular Mario video. Again, those are things that overlap with Kirby, but he's not purely doing Kirby. Because I think like those things are like it's out of style, you know. So I think a lot of it is like the inference, is like understanding the audience and trying to really interpret the data.
Okay, it's like, how old do you think a video is, or you should go back to the video and be like, you know, I should change the title, or I should change the thumbnail. Like, let's say you're old, or yeah, someone who's the 1K, and you're like, none of my videos performed well. Do you think it should be like, forget it, let me just make a new video, and be like, oh wait, these videos are still good, I just need to fix the title and the thumbnail?
If you think it's worth fighting for, then do it. There's no way of knowing. Like, as long as you're like, I believe in this project, I think like it will do well. I would rationalize it, obviously. Like if your retention graph is like 90% of viewers lost in the left in the first 30 seconds, you shouldn't. But if things look decent, like I said for like my first Pokemon Triple Battle Nuzlocke, like comments were phenomenal. People were absolutely adoring it. I was getting a lot of likes. Retention was very solid. I was like, okay, this indicates that I'm not selling this properly. Like the title and thumbnail are just not there. And thus, like that's when I had to make the change, if that makes sense. So I think that could be a case as well. It also depends on like what you're talking about. I go back to my Shadow video. I actually think that could have done a lot better, but I don't think I branded it the best. But it was supposed to capitalize off of the Sonic Generations remake being made with Shadow Generations. And I think that time is kind of like over. I could go back and change it and still see if it does better, but I don't deem it that worth it. But that was another instance where I think it didn't do super well because of the branding, but also because Shadow Generations hype didn't last that long. Like I noticed like people were done talking about that game fairly quickly after the fact. Like more of the hype was there in the build-up rather than after. Again, that's not I could be wrong on that. Someone could definitely debate me, but that's personally what I noticed. You know, there's a lot of factors. There's so many factors. Like I think Pikmin, for example, does so well for me because there's a mismatch. There's an incongruency in how popular it actually is versus what's represented on the internet. There's not that many YouTubers that are into Pikmin, but there are a lot of diehard Pikmin fans. So I think I came in and I didn't even do the most. Like I think some of my Pikmin thumbnails are not that good, but because not many people were doing it, they still did really well and have a lot of longevity just because the pool is a lot smaller. There's a lot of people that want to watch Pikmin stuff, but there's just not that many people, you know, doing it like me. Versus like Pokemon, where if you want to do Pokemon, there's like you have to compete with a billion different people. You really got to try your best to stand out. You know, you got to find something that like only you can do. But you can become. I think if people got to look at other franchises that like people love. You know, I think Paper Mario, the Mario RPGs, do really well for me because there aren't much big Mario RPG YouTubers. Obviously, you don't only want to make that your thing because then, you know, these games don't get new updates. They don't get new installments every year. You know, so you're gonna have a lot of dry spells, but definitely making it part of your repertoire is like I think really beneficial because a lot of people like these things, but not many people are actually making videos or art about it. So I think I went off on a little thing there, but yeah, that answers whatever question. Oh, changing the title of thumbnail. Yeah, I think like it's as long as you think it's worth fighting for. You're like, I think this can do well. I believe in it. Then I think that's when you fight for it.
Like for example, I had a video like 7 days ago. That one somehow got 700 views, but it was same like all my other videos that are doing like 20 views. Like, but the only difference is this one's using like a character from an anime, while the other ones are using a character from my indie project. Is it because like the other ones are using someone who's not well known, while the other one's using a well known figure? Like that's why I'm like.
Yeah, probably. I'd say right because it's just like. You know, there's that whole narrative where it's like YouTube's not about the creator, it's about the content, and that's like a bad thing, which is like I understand that, but I think it's like that's just natural, which I can talk about that for hours if you wanted me to, but naturally like you kind of have to like the way you build I think on YouTube is you got to make yourself about something that people care about because no one's going to care about you at first, and then as you grow people will start to like you for yourself, but you have to earn that, right? So I think like if someone wanted to like make a like if your indie project, if you're making videos about it right now, probably not gonna do that well because like it's like why I don't know, I'm not a fan of your project. I never played it. Excuse my voice just cracked right there. But I never played it. But then like maybe that stuff will start doing good once you make the game and it's like I don't know, like 10 out of 10. You got yourself your own Undertale, your own Celeste, you know.
Yeah, no, because I did retry again with using like a character anime thumbnail. Did not hit the thing. I was like, how did it work one time and not the other? I was just like, thumbnails don't make sense. I'm like trying to figure out. I was like, what? So it was just like, just a one time. So like, that's why I was like trying to figure out. It's just like, the mindset of a viewer. It's just like you want to see something that's familiar. You don't want to see something that's unfamiliar. But at the same time, it's just like, what looks like a good thumbnail to someone, and it's one of those things where like you're talking about your thumbnails, and like from my perspective, all your thumbnails look good as a viewer, but like you as a creator is like Oh, but I could always use some more work. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's basic principles that I follow, at least. I'm not saying these universal. Obviously, I think some that are universal are having nice contrasting colors, making things that pop, which can even be like we're seeing a resurgence of people just uploading things with a white background, calling it a day. Like the idea of counterculture, people started making these very high produced thumbnails. So then like the cool thing kind of became doing ones that are just like a PNG in front of a white background. And what that does is it's different. It stands out. You see a bunch of pictures of these high production thumbnails, and the one that's going to stand out is the one that's different. But I think like having as little elements as possible, like under 4, and an element could be like text, it could be a character, not making things too complicated. Those are natural things. But I look at some of my thumbnails and I'm like, this could convey the idea better. This can create more intrigue. For example, can I beat Shadow the Hedgehog as a pacifist? That's my Shadow video. And it's a really cute image of Shadow holding up a flower. I love that picture. I don't think it conveys the idea super properly. What I thought about changing the whole branding to I made my own path or story path in Shadow the Hedgehog. And what that does is it asks a question. It's like, what? How did you do that? And then the thumbnail is maybe like Shadow looking down 3 paths, and one of them says pacifist, and it kind of like shows that answers a little bit of the question, and the question becomes how does he do a pacifist run? Like, don't you need to beat enemies? And then you watch the video. But also what it does is it shows what's interesting about the video, because people have done pacifist runs of games, but Shadow is a little different because there's so many alternate paths you can take in the game. And it's more so about finding which one requires you to not hurt enemies rather than like abusing glitches and like doing this, that, and the other thing to avoid, killing enemies and what have you. There's a little bit different there. So that's where I think like ideas can more so be changed. I think people like to chalk thumbnails up to something very simple. Like, oh, this one had an anime character. Why didn't this one work? When I think there's a lot of external factors that are also contributing to the success of things being watched or clicked on. So yeah, it's usually a lot more complicated than that. I think trying to think of correlations as a one-to-one thing is a fallacy. This communicates everything. There's like a perfect package here.
With thumbnails, you're referring to the Shadow Hedgehog. There's also something where I see a lot of people, especially if they're doing like the whole video game thing where they're doing the retrospective or the not since no longer Let's Plays or anything, but they do like some kind of what's it called, like a voice narrative. Like they play through the whole game and make like a 1-hour video of it. It's just like today we're playing Pokemon Resurgence, and they have like an anime thumbnail set where they draw the character instead of like making it via like the PNG way. How come you don't try doing like the hand drawn or like the pixel art instead?
To stand out, I think branding is something that becomes really important in thumbnails, like trying to have a way for where people can decipher like, oh, this is yours, people have thumbnail styles. For me, I think over the years, I made it Blender 3D models. What I like about it is a lot of people don't do it, and I can make it closely resemble the game more. Obviously, some people do it, but in the Nintendo space, I don't see too many people do it. I think Nathaniel Bandy is one, but that's kind of like a different-ish niche, So I think that's a way in which I differentiate myself. But I think it's all in service to like, what does the thumbnail need? I think drawn thumbnails do so well because you have control over everything, right? If you're just using like in-game assets, like if you're just taking video game screenshots, which I used to do, you're limited by like what backgrounds you can use, what positions the model is in, what camera angles even. You can Photoshop certain things, obviously, but there are a lot of limitations to doing so. But I think that's why people do like a lot of drawn stuff, is because you can like communicate anything, because the artist, the pen, you could just draw whatever the hell you need. But sometimes I think it's a deficit to doing so. For example, if you're doing like a mod showcase, I would assume that it's better to show a screenshot of said mod to build more intrigue of the thing you're doing in the game rather than like drawing it, I also think drawn thumbnails might become a fad. I think thumbnails are very reliant on counterculture. It's like how you make yourself stand out. You do something different, but still works. You know, so everyone, if once people get tired of seeing drawn thumbnails, when it becomes less like distinct, maybe they'll move on to something else. As we see with like the white background thumbnails, and even those might become tired. It's a cycle.
So everything's cycle based. So dang, you can make yours all through Blender. That's insane. Yeah, because I'm here thinking you just use like shadow PNG to make your shadow thing. I was just like, where do you get this flower from?
Yeah, I recently have I now have someone that makes the Blender project for me. But depending on the game, like I have this Kirby, my last Kirby Nuzlocke, it's a sprite-based game. I'm going to make the sprites. You know, like it's a GBA game. I mean, maybe I could have went back and made that a model to further align with my other models, but I don't know. That just made more sense to me. When I do Paper Mario, a lot of that is just PNGs because it's paper. You know, it doesn't. He's not a model, so it all depends on like what I'm playing. You know, if I ever go back and play a Super Nintendo game and I want to like represent what I'm talking about in the thumbnail, chances are it's going to be a sprite rather than a model. I mean, maybe. It's an interesting point, actually. I never thought of this idea of like I should just always stick to models even if I'm playing something sprite based. Could be interesting.
You said color contrast, so you essentially had to know color theory in order to make a good thumbnail.
Yes and no. Just make sure it is contrasty. Like if you're in Photoshop, you know, zoom out, make sure things pop. Color theory is as easy as looking at a wheel and just knowing like, okay, yellow's opposite of purple, green is opposite of red, blue's opposite of orange. You know, if you look at my thumbnails, Kirby is always in front of a green background, pink and green. Shadow is red and black in front of a green background. Even small things, like I made sure if you look at my Mario and Luigi thumbnail, the green parts of Luigi are on top of the blue sky, while the blue spots of Luigi are on top of the green grass. You know, just ensuring that things are. I think the best example actually is my Mario Kart one. I put Failboat on a purple background, yellow and purple. I put Alfred on an orange one, blue and orange. I put me in front of a green one, red and green. Like it's as simple as that. But you don't have to follow those rules. You know, it could be pink in front of gray. You know, just as long as it looks, as long as there's like an X factor, as long as it pops. You know, I think you're fine.
Because I know one of the things is people would be like, oh, all I have to do is put it on like a YouTube page and see how it looks. But I'm like, I mean, it looks the same to me regardless. So I was just like, I don't see how that would help at all. So it's just like, what makes you double check your thumbnails to be like, oh yeah, that really does work. This is the thumbnail that's gonna shine.
There's a website called Thumbs Up TV. Which you can like plug in your title and thumbnail and see how it looks, and it emulates how it looks on the YouTube page. But for the most part, I kind of just open up Photoshop, go to like 12% zoom, and then that's how I look at it. And I'm like, I can understand. It doesn't even have to be 12%. It probably be like 25%, you know. And it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I can decipher everything. This looks good. This has that punch to it.
Yeah, but like I'm talking about like for branding purposes. How come you're not?
Oh, I mean, I could put a picture of my butt crack as my profile pic.
So, like, what about if like you've seen their content before and like for example, let's say I want to hit up someone from the Core 4 or formerly Core 4 and they don't know who I am. Is it like something I should just shoot my shot, or is it something I should try to build rapport or something like that, or build up my brand first because I am unknown?
I think you should always shoot your shot, honestly, because it's like, what's the worst that can happen? They just say no.
How dare they?
What's up?
it was a joke. How dare they? Oh no.
Well, it's gonna happen, but it's like they just say no, you know, and it's like, all right. But obviously, I think that could be a motivator too. Yeah. I am someone that like, we're all motivated by ego. Ego is naturally imbued into this job in some form or another. If you think you're entertaining enough to play video games in front of people and like people will like it, you got an ego. Like you just have to admit that. And I think my ego, I don't really care. I do care obviously about the audience, but I want the respect of my peers. So a lot of things that motivated me was like, I want this person to know that I exist and that I'm about that life, you know, like, so even if they say no, what could be cool is kind of like, oh, you're saying no because you don't know me, but like, what if I made you know me?
Yeah.
You know, That's like more like a hip hop like like ego way of looking at it. But sometimes if that motivates you, then that's good. It's not doing any damage. You know, like respect is earned. It's not just given.
Yeah.
I actually had a huge problem with that when I was first starting off, because I knew that I had potential. I knew I had talent, but I was like, oh, everyone just sees me as an editor. Like, I don't want to add on to other people's projects. I want people to see my own project. But I look back at the work that I did, and I had nothing to show as evidence for that, right? Like, I only had like 3 videos at the time, you know, and I was uploading on Mopo like once like every what felt like, I don't know, like 6 freaking months. So it's like, well, I was such a little baby. I was like, I want people to respect me, and I had no reason for them to actually respect me, you know. And now that I actually have made it for myself, it's like, oh, this respect was earned, you know. That's how it works.
Do you think you could still earn someone respect even if your video got like 1 view, like, but you think that video like was still good, like, even though it didn't reach the right audience? It's just like, but I think what the person has to say is still important.
No, for sure. I mean, even when I was an editor, right? Like, there was like 3 vids that I had up. Like, I had the respect of the peers that knew that I existed. But I think like the general atmosphere were those just thinking like, oh, you're Ryan's editor. But I think people like Ryan saw me as my own creator. Like, that's someone that like was nice at what I did. But just naturally, if you have like a larger size, you're garnering more respect. Your brand, going back to that conversation, or your identity is more so your own thing rather than adding on to somebody else's. You know, like, I think if you're larger, it's just easier to gain that respect.
Your brand is basically what makes you unique, what you bring to the table, right?
That's how I view it. For sure. It's just kind of like, who are you? You're the blank guy. Like, I think for a while I was the Kirby Nuzlocke guy. I think that's evolved since those aren't even like my highest performing videos anymore. And I don't know what I am. Well, I do know what I am. I think a lot of people just call me different things based on like what I do. And that's fine, but I think like I know what I provide, and I think a lot of my core fans know that I provide, and that's like what matters. Like, some people I'm just the Pikmin randomizer guy, and like all those other videos maybe aren't for them, or they just see me as the Pikmin randomizer guy, and it's like, that's fine. You know, if multiple people are calling you different things too, you can clump those all together. Like, you have the power to do that and just be like, I'm this guy, you know.
I'm the Nintendo guy. Play random Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm this Nintendo variety framing device guy that likes to make little movies out of their thing. Like, that's what I would call myself. Yeah.
But how do you think you managed to make it work even though you didn't niche down?
So, that's a great question. I started off, I'm looking at my channel right now, I did like, the first thing I did was like, first to catch a shiny star Pokemon wins. Then I did Mario Kart, but winning isn't enough. Then catch a full evolution team wins, then Kirby, then Pokemon. The original strategy was to do every other video was a Pokemon video, and then every other one was like a Nintendo variety. Karthu gave me that strategy because the Pokemon videos, I'd be benefiting off of, you know, the work that I did, and like my established brand, right, being the Vtuber editor, I'd be benefiting off of that and building upon that, while also in the background building something that's different. My journey is a little more unique, and I think is a hard basis to go off of, because YouTube Shorts is what did it for me. I got in while the iron was hot. What I did was, we called them shill shorts. I made 1 minute shorts about the runs that I did. And I was totally against it at first. I had my good friend King Culpa. I contribute most of my success to King Culpa and Karthu's dojo. King Culpa is, you know, Tobin, short-tempered. That's his editor, but he knows a lot about the website. And he kind of convinced me, like, hey man, like, look, I get it. You don't like YouTube Shorts, because I actually don't. I don't watch them. But he was like, you don't like them, but like, what if you made them, you don't care about them, but what if they allowed you to promote the things you do care about? And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. So what we did was, we just made these shorts that were advertisements essentially for my bigger videos, where I just kind of made like a 1-minute video essay on like how I made Kirby actually hard, you know, and just kind of like talk about the run a little bit. Those don't work anymore. But it was going back to what I said about Let's Plays being dead, where no one did YouTube Shorts because there was $0 involved, but they were cooking like hotcakes. Like, I would post a short. This was back when I had 2,000 subs, and then it would take a month But then after like 21 days, for some reason, they would just get like 1 million views for free. They would make no money, but what I did was I would use that to my advantage and make these shorts to promote my videos. And I think that's what made like Kirby and Mario Kart blow up. And then at that point, I have established a repertoire, and I think it's kind of like expanding, and trying to figure out like what bounces off of what. Like I did a Kirby Nuzlocke, for example, right? That the idea of a Nuzlocke, it's already imbued into Pokemon. Like I started with Pokemon, and then I did a Mario Kart video. Everyone likes Mario Kart. Like that's like the white bread of like Nintendo YouTube takes. It's like drinking water. You know, everyone friggin' does it. And then I did a Kirby Nuzlocke, which kind of goes off of Pokemon. You know, there's some sort of like overlap there. I did Pikmin once Pikmin 4 was coming out. You know, the iron was hot. I can garner a new audience. So there's kind of like a strategy to it. There's a method. And like, okay, what does my audience already like? What can I get them into? How can I capitalize on this, that, and the other thing? And I think I also established my own style that I think, like my brand is, I think a lot of people come for me and not necessarily the things that I make. Because if you look at my channel, you like based off of thumbnails and titles, you wouldn't understand what my shtick is until you actually click on the video. You know, like you wouldn't know that my Paper Mario video has like stop motion paper in it. You know, it just looks like a regular challenge run where I'm like, okay, I started off here, then I killed this guy, then I killed you. But you click on it, and it's like, oh, this is so much more. You know, that's also I think part of my brand as well, which probably isn't good. I could probably find a way to like advertise my uniqueness within the titles and thumbnails. I haven't found a way to do that without alienating too many people. That's something I'm trying to like figure out. But I think through like shorts, and then I think like I was able to create such a diversity of different series because of like the way I approached it and the way I even structured my videos, to where like even my flops still garner like a good amount of success, because I think people just like what I provide. Like they know what they're getting when they click on a Don video, regardless of what I'm going to talk about. And I'm very happy about that. I'm very lucky to have garnered that. So a lot of it was luck too. I think like I just got in while the iron's hot, and it was just kind of like, oh, like shorts were doing fantastic. Like let me get in on this. Like so I was really lucky in that regard.
Well, my question is, how come you advertise more a Mario character as your profile pic instead of yourself?
He's funny.
Yeah, but like I'm talking about like for branding purposes. How come you're not?
Oh, I mean, I could put a picture of my butt crack as my profile pic. Like I don't think profile pics really matter in that regard. I mean, I can look through my sub count. Let's see, there's this guy Yurik Salad Bar that I like a lot. He makes video essays. His profile picture is literally just the color red. I can send you a screenshot of it right now.
It's just the color.
You know, like it's just a red splotch. Schaeferless is the crab from Moana. He's got 2 million subs.
Oh,
you know,
I think I heard of him.
I think things like that. It's more so about the videos you're making, less than like the brand, you know. And mine's just Don Pianta, who's red, and I don't even use him as my my person that much. I use a sprite guy that you see on screen just as often, if not more, because it's easier to work with. You know, so I don't think like I remember when I was a lot smaller, I used to care about that thing a lot more, like how fancy you make things look, but it doesn't matter. As long as your stuff's good, you can make a stick figure your profile picture, and it'd be crazy.
Okay, this is something small streamers struggle with, because you mentioned that you like to communicate with your audience, but sometimes you said as a live streamer you feel like you don't communicate enough. But how much is too much feedback from your audience? Because you mentioned how you don't plan on like going out to different types of content because that might affect your stuff negatively, while small streamers feel like they have to pander to their smaller audience because they're like, oh, you need to play this or you need to play that or X, Y, and Z, because you need to niche out. Meanwhile, for example, VTubing itself is the niche, but then people would be like, oh, you need to niche down as a VTuber in order to get more of an audience, because you're not getting an audience as you are as a VTuber. So
Well, yeah, I would try to. I mean, if they're a VTuber, I would say like, I think being a VTuber is not enough.
yeah.
Right? Because it's like, okay, well, what separates you from the rest? You could look at different communities and be like, well, no one's like VTubed up in this joint, you know, like no one's like tried it this way. What am I adding? But in terms of like listening to your audience, for the most part, don't. Viewers actually don't know anything, sadly. Everyone watching this, you're all stupid. I hate you. No, I'm playing. But it's true. You'll get a lot of negative stuff from people. I remember people used to compliment, like I used to, back on Mopo, I had a video intro, right? Like I had like a little intro sequence and everyone's like, oh, I love this. And as you know, for me, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like people are telling me they love this. Like, let me keep it up. But then you check the analytics and it's like, oh, a lot of people are clicking off of it. You know, a lot of things there's way more dimensions to it than we think. It's not all black and white. So, and there's a lot of people like, hey, Don, you should play this weird indie game, you know? And it's like, is that good for my growth? Or do you specifically just want me to play that? I think the only time you really want to listen to an audience is in a very general sense. Like if you post something and you're getting a lot of comments on it that are like, this is great, this is underrated, you know, or like, hey, like if like 3 people are like, hey, your audio's kind of whack, probably should like turn that down, you know? Maybe not 3 people, but like, I don't know, a ratio. If like 20% of your comments or 10% are about it, if enough people are making a stink about it, you probably should change that. That happened to me. I think I used to make my music a little bit too loud by a few decibel places, but I think that's really when it comes. But when it comes to ideas and stuff, I always like put the creator brain on first. You know, if like someone throws a blind, like, Don, you should do a Pikmin Nuzlocke. I get that all the time, and I'm like, how would that even work? What are you talking about? But I've gotten good ideas from people too. But it's like up to me as a creator to be like, oh, this could work. Like I see this path of thinking. You know, I think the people that you should look up to is mentor figures. I think everyone should have a mentor. Everyone should have those. You got to find people that have credentials or opinions that you value. You know, that credentials are the biggest thing. Because I remember I had a friend, small creator, who's like, yeah, they told me I should do Instagram. Instagram will blow up my YouTube channel. I says to this friend, bro, we'll call him John. I said, John, what was this friend? Like, what's this job that your friend had? And he was like, oh, IT. And I'm like, what does the IT guy know about any of this? You know? And that's not to say dismiss everyone's opinion, but like take into account people's credentials. Because YouTube's a funny thing, man. Everyone thinks they know something. You know, my mom told me I should focus on merch. I says to her, what the hell do you know about this stuff? You're like 55. You're using Facebook. I'm doing Nintendo YouTube. You know, like, what? Everyone thinks they know something, but you gotta figure out who actually does.
Oh, so mentors. I guess that's a good question. Like a mentor as in like a buddy or someone who's gonna give you the truth, as in like someone above you, or like a paid mentor, I guess, because like there are certain levels. What do you mean by mentor?
I mean, people can pay for them. I never have. I think you just gotta find people that respect that you respect, and you're using your like ability to judge others based on like what they're saying. It's hard because you don't want to just like have someone that tells you what you want to hear. But I think at first, like Ryan was my mentor, and I said he taught me a lot of the wrong things because I think he instilled this idea that people really care about your edits, and like the flashier it is, the better, you know. And I think that was just super wrong, insanely wrong. Even I think over editing is a huge problem that people have. I can name a few creators where I'm like, you could tone this down and you'd actually be like better off. Like edits don't really matter that much. But I think I listened to him at first because I thought he was way more successful, right? Like he's someone that's established, that works for himself. But then I met someone like Karthu, and he kind of like you know, imbued better values into me and kind of like de-brainwashed me. You know, he's like, this stuff doesn't actually matter. Like you don't need to be doing this much. And that's someone that has like real credentials. They've had recent success. Not only did they have big success, but it was recent. You know, because you don't want to like take advice from someone that got like 2 mil 10 years ago, because it was like that was just a different landscape, you know. But trying to decipher like what those people are. I mean, you could pay for it. It's all up to you. It's all up to your own judgment call, right? It could be someone that you look up to. It could be someone like, I respect what you do. It could be someone's ability to be blunt with you. Like Karthu would just be like, this is ass. You should not be doing it. He probably could be like more delicate with the way that he sent that message, but I respect, like without that I wouldn't have gotten to where I was. You know, he wasn't that blunt, mind you. If he ever watches this, I'm not talking ish. Like without him, I wouldn't be anywhere. I always credit him for my success. He's a beautiful man. But
Carthu in the video be like featuring Dawn at Carthu. Watch this video.
At Carthu's dojo, he's talking mad schmack. But no, but I needed someone to be blunt. I needed someone to just be like, yeah, like this isn't working. Like you should try doing this. Like this is statistically, this is like what he presented me proper arguments that were kind of irrefutable. Like he presented himself, but also gave good evidence that made me see what I was doing wrong. You know, and it never was sugarcoat it. And that's what I needed. Some people need the sugarcoating, you know, and having multiple people to go to. I have people that I go to just to get glazed, you know, just when I want to feel better about myself. Like I want someone to just praise me, because we all want validation in some regards. So I got people I'm just like, yo, bro, check this out, and they're like, I'm nutting. I'm like, yes, like your excitement is making me more excited about the project. Like let me work more on it. You know, that could be a productive thing. But I think trying to find different viewpoints, and like if you, I don't know, it's like in anything. Like if you really want this, you gotta find ways to do it. And a big part of it is like getting knowledge from the greats, and then being like, okay, like I am a student, I need to find a teacher.
Okay. Since you are, is he still your mentee person?
Yeah, I think we have more of a back and forth, because I know things now too, especially because his he does Dragon Ball stuff, but his other channel is doing something similar to what I do. So sometimes I'll help him out in that regard. But I think now I just have people that like challenge my viewpoint, and I go to for advice. I go to him. I go to also King Copa. Like he's someone where like I had a streak where shorts were doing like really poorly. And we went through and like really analyzed like what I could be doing better. And it was something as simple as like, okay, for my intros, always make them subtitled, always show off B-roll, and like doing other like very small tweaks, because we noticed a trend where like my most successful videos, with some exceptions where there's like outliers, as there always is, but there was a huge trend where I made specific edits in the intros, and those caused for like more success with those shorts. And then we did it, and it worked, you know. Even with Copa, like recently, we were just kind of like, yeah, dude, like we need to cut back on doing these giant streams, which is better for my mental health, but also better for the channel, to where I can, like, above all else, be consistent with shorts and like not drop off the face of the earth when it comes to live streaming, you know. So but I go to them for different things a lot of the time. It's about finding the people that you respect in like different regards, because not everyone can encompass everything. You know, it's a very multifaceted job. You have to wear a lot of hats. I think going to specific people for specific things can be really valuable. I think I have a friend that like comes to me for advice when it comes to the more creative stuff, but he'll go to like someone else for advice when it comes to the more businessy things. And I'm like, that's totally fair. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, you know, but like I could tell you what I think makes a good video and like what people really respond to and things like that. So it's like, yeah, that's great. That's how you should be doing it.
To find a mentor or become a mentee, do you think there's a certain etiquette to it? Like, you were successful because you had your video editor phase, so you established yourself. With someone who's like has a lower sub count and hasn't proven themselves yet, is there a way for them to show what they bring to the table, their potential?
Make friends. I think making friends, I never went up to these people and were like, daddy, please help me, you know. Like it was just like they became my friends. I talked to them about stuff, and I learned like, oh, you're that guy. Like with Carthu, I think he checked out a live stream from me once, but that would only happen because he found out I was Ryan's editor, and that would have only happened if I had put myself out there, you know. So I did get lucky, but I think luck's, you know, like a good percentage of it for sure. But I think a big part of it was I was able to put myself out there. I think the real big pipeline for me actually was I liked the way that Ryan edited. Funnily enough, I saw his stuff. Actually, we can go further back from that. Here we go. This is how I made it, and I think that's what everyone should do. I have this friend Uzi. Shout out Uzi Gunner. He does Pokemon Draft League stuff, like competitive singles, whatever. You don't really know what that is. Small creator. Draft League's awesome. But I remember my mom, this was like during when I was like, hey mom, like look what I'm doing. She was like, make more connections. And she was right. I was pissed off by that advice, but she was right. So I went on a limb. Me and him were both the same size. And I was like, hey bro, like I like what you do. I like you as a person. Like, just wanted to say what's up. And then like he became my friend, and we would talk. He was like one of the first friends that I had online, and we would like talk a lot, you know, just like transfer ideas. I was really into draft league stuff, so like I like talking to him about that. And then at one point, Ryan King Corefish, my first boss, was like, "Hey, I'm looking for things to watch. Someone sent some stuff my way." And then Uzi sent him one of my videos, and that's how Ryan discovered me. And that's how I discovered Ryan. And I saw Ryan have these like really cool transitions and effects. I now believe that you don't need any transitions or effects. That's not what good editors do. Anyone can do a transition. You just put down a plugin. That's it. Doesn't require any talent. But at the time, I was like, this is sick. This could level up my game, make me seem more professional. And then I made a video using those transitions and stuff. And then right after I did that, he was like, hey, I'm looking for an editor application. And then I signed up, and that's how all that entire group found out who I was. But it all started with me like just trying to like be friendly and like meet people online, not for the sake of ladder climbing, but just to like build some sort of community, like try to find people of my stature that are like that I like a lot. Another person I met, he don't really actually he does upload now. His name's Social Drinker. He does tech and stuff, but originally he did stuff similar to the Mopo vids. I found him because Did You Know Gaming was doing a segment where you can like small creators can submit their stuff and get a shout out at the end. And I saw he had like a similar branding to me, and he submitted his stuff too. And so I checked him out, and I became friends with him. Didn't really get like, actually I did get stuff out of it because I'm not saying people should make friends with the intent of like ladder climbing or whatever, but I think like making friends, beautiful things can happen to him. He has an editor named Nate. And Nate is just like his childhood best friend. Like he don't upload that often because this is kind of a hobby for him. He's got an actual job. Ruby, the friend that I made online. But me and him kind of stayed in touch. I moved out to Los Angeles. They live near here. I hang out with both of them. Nate's now my editor for shorts, and he's super talented. And I would have never made that connection without hitting up Ruby. So I think trying to like really be a friendly person and try to find people that are similar to you that like are also small. It's harder when they're bigger. You can try for sure, but sometimes that can come off a certain type of way, like, oh, you're trying to benefit from me, you know, we were talking about that earlier. And then like beautiful things can come from those connections, you know, those chance encounters. Taking those leaps I think are really important. So then I became friends with Carthu through Ryan, and then I really appreciate, he was like, yeah, I think you have the potential, like I think you could do some things. And I was like, what things? And he's like, well, if you want to know. And then I kept asking him questions, and he was like, yeah, man, you can rely on me. So it kind of became that way. It was never like, I need senpai. You know, you can also do that. I have some people that were kind of like that to me. I think it's up to the person to really want to do that. You know, it's kind of more taking a risk, but you could be like, hey, I'm a big fan of your stuff. Do you mind if I ask you some questions? I want to get better. You know, like some people come to me with that, and I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, I would love to help you out. You know, like if you're presenting it that way. But don't be like, hey, you want to collab? You know, then I'd be like, you know, I'm pretty open to collaborations, obviously, but if people are kind of weird up, you know, I'm not gonna bite as much.
Okay, if someone's like, if they want to collab, do they have to first present you with the collaboration in mind? Like, instead of, hey,
oh, for sure.
Yeah, like,
yeah, for sure. Just don't just have some tact. Like, you can ask me if I could be in a video. I had people do that, and I usually say yes. I'm in someone's project where they got like a crap ton of creators to talk about indie games that they like for like 2 minutes each. And this person's small, and he was just kind of like, hey, like, do you want to be part of this project? Like, it'd be cool. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I'll do 2 minutes. You know, like, sure, why not? I mean, even me and you were kind of like, hey, do you want to be interviewed? And I was like, yeah, I'm down. I think you obviously would have to you know, show some sort of like, is it fun for me? You know, like, is this idea cool? Like, I yap forever, so like I'm always down for an interview. You know, so there's that value for me. But obviously you don't just want to be like, let's be friends. You know, you just want to be chill. Just be like, hey, like, I like your stuff. I would love to talk shop with you. You know, let's explore this discussion. I think is a good way of going about it.
Be my friend, please help me go viral.
Exactly. That's just weird. You know, you want to have some sort of tact, like be a human about it. Don't be like just like, please, Mr. Streamer, you're really epic. I really did your job, you know. But like, try to be like, I am a humble student looking for a teacher. I'm like, yeah, I like that energy. Like, for sure. Like, you want to learn something? Yes.
Like I guess another way is like would it be a lot of your time to like take someone as a mentor though? Like is it like okay, since you take a lot of time for YouTube, right? Like, would it be like, hey, would you have time to mentor me, or like how would that work? It's just like,
I mean, it's not as like cut and dry. It's
Yeah.
not like a paid mentorship where
Yeah.
I'm like all monitoring you 24/7. It's just kind of like I have a couple people where they're kind of like able to come to me for questions periodically,
yeah,
and we'll just like have a discussion about it and like what to look forward to. You know, and if they want to like call, I'm down. If they're being too needy, I think it's up to my you know, my own decision to just be like, hey, I'm busy right now. Can we like postpone this for a little bit? Let's schedule out a time to talk, because I like talking. I also think it's beneficial for me. They say proponents of success, you should have a rival, a mentor, and a student so that your knowledge is being tested in all three regards. So I think it's actually beneficial to share some of my input, and therefore some people can like challenge those. Like, so why do you think this way? You know, sometimes when you're teaching somebody, you never thought of it that way. I'm learning that with my editors, where they're kind of like they make mistake, they do things in a different way, and I'm kind of like, I have to explain now why they should do it this way, and I've never really had to like put that into words, and that can be beneficial, because sometimes if I don't have to explain it, then is it really that valuable? Like, is it like, oh, maybe I just do this for no reason, maybe it doesn't matter that much.
yeah. When it comes to me trying to reach, first of all, I get even scared just to even ask someone, hey, do you want to do an interview? But I still push myself to do it because I'm like, oh man, if I don't ask, I don't even know what the answer is gonna be.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, so it's just kind of those things to push yourself. But it's like also it's just like what comes off as being too much. So it's just like, okay, well, whatever time you want to do it. So it's just like when you're like, oh yeah, I could be your mentor, X, Y, and Z. It's just like, you know, some people like come off as just like, oh yeah, and then like the first conversation is good, and then the second conversation is like, oh, this is actually a bit harder. So like, I don't know if you ever had those conversations where it's just like, oh, like the first vibe was good, and then the second vibe not so much. So it's just like, I don't know how you deal with that personally, but it's just like I've because I thought like once you become big, you deal with that kind of issues, but it's like even as a smaller creator, sometimes like you have to deal with certain scenarios. It's like, oh, I thought you only deal with this as a big time YouTuber.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just think that's life. You know, like sometimes you'll just have people you don't really jive with, and it's like, all right, well, I might just like toodaloo. You know, like I don't gotta deal if it's not there. You know,
You know what?
you can take your business somewhere else.
You're like, you know what? I'm actually busy. I'll let you know though. 3 years later, no response.
No response. Yeah, it'd be like that. It sucks, but I mean, even I still deal with that now.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, you want to do this project, and just no answer, and it's like that's just gonna happen. That's just life.
Yeah, it's just like people might sign up for something, and it's like you might not like the vibe, or they might not like the vibe, or not even realize what they signed up for. It's like not everyone's gonna like you, even vice versa. So there's something you have to deal with. Yeah.
Click on a video essay, and it's like the history. It's like a, I don't know, like why Brawl Meta Knight was broken, and then you click on it, and then the video is like, Smash Bros was made in 1996 by Masahiro Sakurai, and it's like, do I really need to know this to understand this like Meta Knight in Brawl?
When it comes to analytics and whatnot, like how do you focus on like how to improve yourself? Because I noticed you kind of had the vidIQ thingy when you showed me the color red thing, the Eric salad bar.
Oh, I do have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like vidIQ that much. It shows you too much, and it makes you anxious sometimes.
But like, how do you know how to improve, what to improve? Because like you have good thumbnails, but you said it doesn't really show you off your personality. But like your titles work, your thumbnails work. So like, what is it that you think people are missing when they're starting off a channel?
So what's cool about YouTube is I think one of the advantages I have as a creator is I think like a viewer, because I watch a lot of YouTube, and I try to like approach YouTube and like, what would I like to see? Like, what do I think's cool, and what like wouldn't it be cool if someone did this? All right, well, I'm gonna do it. But what more importantly is I think I like to compare things to other mediums a lot. I was a mass media major in college, which didn't do anything for me. Mass media communications. I'm only saying that because I said communications earlier. Did the same thing, but I digress. I didn't learn that much from it, but it gave me I learned a lot about television, film, broadcasting, radio, and it's like it gave me a good insight into like how YouTube is very similar and different to those things. And one thing that's very different is your analytics. You get like instant feedback, and you can learn so much from just the raw data they gave you. I don't fixate it on too much, but when a video does well, a video does poorly, I try to like look at like the analytics to see what did it. I think a lot of the times it's an X factor. Like I think people go too deep into the analytics to where I'm like, okay, there's a human side of this that we're kind of ignoring. For example, if my intro, like I look at I did a Luigi's Mansion Pikmin ROM hack thing, didn't do too well. My intro, like I can immediately look at my video retention, and my intro just like wasn't doing it, you know? And that just told me, all right, like videos just kind of stinky. Like I could change the title and thumbnail to make it better based off of just vibes. Like I think I can make a better title and thumbnail, but you know, it's gonna be hard to save that video when the video itself is already flawed. But one of my favorite videos that I did was a Pokemon Nuzlocke. It was I attempted the first ever triple battle Nuzlocke, right? Video actually did pretty poor at first. But my intro was fine, retention was good, comments were like super valuable and nice, and the video was still doing decent, but that was like the data told me, okay, this can do a lot better. I think the problem is my title and thumbnail, and so that's what told me to iterate on it, and then like that's what garnered me success. So I think trying to learn what tools are valuable and trying to make I compare it to the scientific method a lot. Your hypothesis is the video that you want to make, right? Testing it is making the video, and then you gather your data and then try to either go back and fix your initial hypothesis, which can be like mostly the title and thumbnail, because you can't really fix a video after it's done. I mean, you could cut out a section if it sucks, maybe. I've done that with shorts a couple of times, but I've never done that to a video where I go into the YouTube editor and cut out something.
Let me just cut out a 4-hour video real quick.
Yeah, like I wouldn't. That sounds so arduous. I mean, people probably have done it. You know, like say you did like an intro skit that didn't land, you could just cut that out. You know, like I've definitely heard of people doing that. But I think like step one is figuring out like, okay, does the video just suck? Like, does the intro suck? Like maybe people are just like not, because that can happen. Like I love everything I make, but like sometimes it doesn't jive with people, you know? Like I think my Luigi's Mansion Pikmin video was a little too experimental. I think the pacing was a little bit slower, and I think a lot of people didn't like that. I'm not blaming the audience. It's just kind of like, that's fair. You know, it was also like kind of rushed. Like I get you, I feel you 100%. But like it was a matter of like looking at the graphs and being like, okay, like maybe this one isn't worth saving. Versus even my last Mario Kart video, I had a different title and thumbnail, and then I was like, I know this has the potential to be great. Like, let me talk to people, let me try to figure it out. And we deduced that like my original title and thumbnail wasn't selling the concept appropriately. Like I was underselling the idea. So then I went for something that like sold the idea more properly, and then like I got like a massive bump. I'm looking at the graph right now after like 5 days of the video being up, and like skyrocketed a bit, and I'm like, yeah, we're back. And that's like kind of annoying, but it also could be really satisfying, you know, in like a scientist-y kind of way.
So you also think like the hook is also one of the most important factors, because I did notice like when looking through analytics, like one of the things is like first second then drop. It's like dang, people don't even give you 5 seconds sometimes. It's like, what the it's just like,
yeah,
oof.
Yeah, but then I think like that's thinking of as a creator, but sometimes I watch videos and I'll do the same thing.
Yeah,
like recently I think just today I was, you know, those iceberg videos.
Yeah.
I was watching one about Mario Party, because I don't know, just the autistic knowledge, I love it. Give me more, please, Papa algorithm. But I click on this Mario Party iceberg video, and they start off with like, Mario Party is a friendship ruiner, and I just clicked off, and I'm like, I've heard this a billion times. Like, I don't, like, you don't gotta give me the history of the whole thing, you know. I actually didn't click off, I just skipped to where the iceberg started. But it's like, you gotta think about those things. Like, do we really need to introduce the concept of Mario Party if someone's clicking on a Mario Party iceberg? You know, like, another big, I think this became a meme where it's like you click on a video essay and it's like the history, it's like I don't know, like why Brawl Meta Knight was broken. And then you click on it and then the video is like, Smash Bros was made in 1996 by Masahiro Sakurai. And it's like, do I really need to know this to understand this like Meta Knight in Brawl, you know. So it is frustrating as a creator, like, damn, you didn't give me like 6 seconds, like give me a chance. But at the same time, as I've been a viewer, I understand that, like, well, dang, you're kind of wasting my time here, bro. I'm not gonna lie, like, you didn't hook me in. So I get that, yeah. Like, hooks are extremely important. Sometimes too, it could be as simple as like the video concept is the hook. My Mario Kart video has the best intro retention I've ever seen, but I think a part of that is the title and thumbnail tells you exactly what you're getting, to the point where the intro doesn't matter that much. You know, it does build intrigue. My video, my title and thumbnail. But I think also too, it's a big collaborative project. I mean, Alpharad's in the thumbnail, so people kind of already like, and he's the first person I show off in the video, so you're getting that immediately gratification, like, oh, Alpharad's in this video, and then you get to the part with Alpharad, and then it's like, oh, he's there. I got what I clicked on, you know. So yeah, hook is extremely important. I mean, some people say that like you should come up with a title and thumbnail first before making the video idea. Which is an idea. I have a hard time doing that, but they're probably right. They're actually 100% right. You should be doing that. I have a hard time with that sometimes. I'm like, oh, this is a cool framing device. This is a cool theme that I could do, and I kind of work backwards from there, which has varying degrees of success. I'm not the most successful YouTuber. I just have my own way of doing things that has like moderate levels of success, I suppose.
The video title of this could be like Don Snacks in this video, and then it's gonna be like the history of Smash Bros.
Masahiro Sakurai, you know.
They're gonna instant click off. It's just like, even though he's the one talking about it, it's like,
it's true. I hate it. I hate that so much, bro. It's like, I get it. I know this. It's funny too, because I think like 10 years ago you were supposed to do that because not everyone's an internet denizen, but now we are.
Yeah.
You know, and we have like, it's interesting how I guess this is a bit tangential, so I'm sorry for rambling, but it's interesting now how like genres like you go into a movie theater and you can expect certain things out of the genre, out of the movie, to where like you don't need to be convinced. I think a big reason as those Zenwi fight videos are so successful is because people see the title, the thumbnail, they already know exactly what to expect. The intro doesn't need to convince them anymore, you know, on the concept, because they already know exactly what they're getting. So these videos get like crazy retention because there's already a built-in like understanding of what they're getting. There's already a value proposition made. Versus my videos, where a lot of times I think newer viewers have no clue what they're getting, and sometimes they can be alienated by how like crazy the concept can be. You know, like they're like, oh, they're probably doing a regular Shadow the Hedgehog challenge run, and like that's the 20 minutes, and I have like this like puppet that's talking to me, you know, in like a Saw parody. And I like that, but not everybody likes that, and that's fine. I'm not trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator. I'm trying to, or greatest realm of people. I'm just trying to appeal to people that like want to see that in YouTube.
just like just thinking about the fight, the how everyone changed to the PokeTubing. Yeah, I did kind of low-key notice that. I was just like, where are all the Let's Plays? Like, it is kind of weird how everyone's doing the like Let's Fights or whatnot. I don't know, but you would think, because we did mention how with Corey Kenshin, like he could just stick to the same thing. You would think that certain PokeTubers could kind of stick with the same thing. Like, I think Munching or Orange tries to stick with the same thing. Because he's one of the OGs. But yeah, like you mentioned how like Vinny and Dylan had to change up their game because like it is a new meta now. It's just like you can't stick with just doing Let's Play anymore. So yeah, and I mean, I guess low-key you could get into like becoming a competitive battle, but like, oof, that's another ball game in itself. So
I mean, that's just a different niche, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Pokemon's interesting because there's so many niches within it. Right, like you got people that just care about the card game. You got people that care about shiny hunting. Competitive is like its own thing. It's crazy. It's nuts. And I still think, even though I say like Pokemon YouTube's attract, I actually think there's a lot more that can be done with Pokemon that people don't see. I think people are like afraid to experiment, but I think people should only be pursuing that if they want to do something different. You don't want to be like the Temu or Walmart version of somebody else. Even our egos tell us that we're not. Like that could end up being the case. You know, like I always say this, like when in doubt, siding with the billion-dollar companies probably the more cringe take.
The thing is, Pokemon, I think it's kind of just it's kind of hard to still be passionate about it over the years, low key, because of how the company has treated Pokemon itself. Like the restrictions they kind of give it, like you know, I think you might have heard about the Switch 2 and how they're dealing with that. Not only that, like the fight between Pokemon and Power World. So like it's just more so, it's just like, I don't know, touching Pokemon, just you gotta really have the nostalgia for it. But it's like for me personally, I like Pokemon, but at the same time it's just like it's giving a pass for like incompetent work at the same time. Like for example, Scarlet and Violet, for me, I personally felt like that was just like an incomplete mess of a game, and people are like, oh, it's okay to love a game that's like not the best in terms of graphic. I'm like, it's not the best in terms of a lot of things. I'm like, I don't know why we're accepting incompetent games. Like, it's okay.
So I think I actually like Scarlet and Violet for what it for like other things, but I didn't get a lot of like the performance issues. I think the big problem is you're allowed to like, I think, Scarlet and Violet. I think there's like enjoyable things, but I think the problem is like when people are just like glazing the company and it's like, no, we can still like, I don't know, it's so Twitter where it's like you're allowed to criticize things that you love. In fact, I think you should be critical of things that you love. It means you actually care about it and like want it to do better. But for some reason that's got misconstrued to where like, how could you make fun of this thing that I like? You know, it's like, bro, I want it to be better. You know, I love my girlfriend. I want her to be better as a person. I love myself. I want to be better as a person. You know, that should just be like a thing. That should just be a thing. But I think people are just so sensitive and weird. That's where like the whole issues with the Pokemon company come in. I really have like no strong stance because I just think it's like a huge rabbit hole of all this information that I frankly don't find myself caring enough to look into. I think there's more pressing problems in the world. I mean, I think like anything involving like workers' comp and like the treatment of employees is obviously very important from a humanitarian stance. But like in terms of like the Switch 2, I've seen so many takes about like, no, it's actually justified this price. I've seen people talk about it's the economy. I've seen so many people saying like it's like bull crap, and I just like, it's so overwhelming to where I'm like, I don't even care to throw my hat into this ring because I just think there's like a wealth of answers, and I'm like, I think in order to have a reliance, or in order to side with truth, you have to accept sometimes that you don't know.
Yeah,
you know? And
I agree
I think that's an issue where I'm like, bruh, I don't know. I'm gonna buy it because it's my job. The one cool thing about capitalism, because I think there's a lot wrong with it, but like you can vote with your dollar, you know. So if you don't like it, just don't freaking buy it.
Exactly.
You know, like go on with your day.
Kind of like the way you said, oh, well, I didn't have as much problems. Then again, I did emulate it. It's just like, low key, that's why you didn't have so many problems, though. Meanwhile,
what was that?
You're like, I didn't have any problems, but then again, I did emulate it.
Yeah, no, and I admit that bias too. I admit that bias. Like, I do think like the graphical stuff and like bugs in that game are pretty. It does like take you out of that immersion, but like I'm not running it on like Switch hardware. I'm running it on like a tower that was built, you know. So it's like I obviously didn't have much slowdown, or I mean, popping was still abysmal, but like. I didn't have those issues, and those are issues for people, especially if you had like a Switch 1, right? Like I think like the OLED played it better, but like the original, it's like at a certain point it lags too much to where you can't even enjoy it, you know?
Like for someone who had the Switch 1, it crashed my game 3 times, like where it's like data cannot be read. I was like, how can you not read a chip? I'm like, how can you not read a chip? This ain't no disc. Like, so I was just like, I was getting so frustrated with the game. I was just like, and like, you know, there was all those frame rate issues and whatnot. I was just like, dang, this game really cost $60. Like, so I was just like, bruh, like it was just like, I was like, and people are really glazing this game, but I was like, you can still enjoy the game. You can still enjoy I had no problem with people enjoying the game, but I was just like, my take is just like, I don't understand how y'all could really be like, this game is perfect, though. That was the only beef. I was like, y'all really saying this game is perfect is crazy, because like.
Nah, I think the critics are more valid in terms of like discussing about than the people that are just like blindly latch on to it. I just think it's like, It's unhealthy. Like we should want these companies to be better. You know, like I always say this, like when in doubt, siding with the billion-dollar companies probably the more cringe take. like that's just the bottom line, bro. Like it's just cringe. It's just cringe, dog. Like stop. You don't owe them anything.
I was just like, you giving your money willingly. I'm like, that's insane. How do you handle negative feedback and how you pick yourself up? Like, example, you're even talking about how that Pikmin video got you so drained. So, like, how do you even handle that, especially if you have to deal with, like, negative comments?
Uploading shorts is the best way to deal with negative comments because you get them so much and you realize how... I remember my first short that blew up. I was like going through comments, like arguing with people. I think it's a thing that everyone goes through for the most part, unless you're like a less sensitive person. I'm pretty sensitive, admittedly. But I think it's the best way to get desensitized. I just think the human brain was not made with the idea that like a bunch of random strangers would be criticizing you for like the most like stupid stuff ever. The way I do like to handle like there's a difference between feedback and just being a hater. If someone's giving me legitimate feedback, like I recently on a live stream got really mad while playing like Paper Mario, and like I am like embarrassed of that behavior. It happens when you're playing a game and you just like misperform and like just like start raging, you know, especially if you're playing something competitive. It can happen in any sport, it can happen in any video game. I just had it sucked that it happened to me in front of a bunch of people. But someone called me out in the comment of that stream. I'm like, hey, like you were just kind of like looking for debates with people. And I was like, no, you're right. And like, this is like a very human response. I think it takes a level of self-reflection as well, which I think I'm someone that like reflects a lot on my actions and like what I've done. I won't do it in the moment, but I'll definitely do it after the fact. So like in that moment in particular, if he said that to me in the moment, I probably would have like went back at them. But then after a day, I sat on it. I'm more chill. I'm thinking about it. And I watched it back and I was like, wow, I was just stupid. Like I was just saying things that don't reflect my actual thoughts. I wasn't making sense. This is obnoxious. And I was like, I left a comment back at that person. I'm like, hey, thank you so much for telling me this. Like I may disagree with these points that you said, but like overall, like I think you're right. Like this is just me being tilted and frankly, like embarrassing behavior. I think it's a matter of just like understanding where the person is coming from in the negative feedback. Recently I got I will always get a video. I will always get a comment from someone that's just kind of like, wow, this video would have been great if it was freaking normal. You know, if you didn't do all this like stupid, like animated segment or like, what's it called? Like documentary bits in your Pikmin video. And I'm like, all right, then go watch Alpha Red, go watch Smallland. Like, this is who I am. You know, it's trying to understand where the real criticisms are and like who actually cares. You know, it's kind of similar to like, you know, Sonic 06, right? It's like there's two critics, right? It's like, what if I like gave an argument on why it's a bad game and really tackled it and like was like, this is unacceptable, you know, like this game's really glitchy. Even if I didn't face these glitches, I can see how someone else did. Here's me trying to reenact one without even trying, versus someone that's like, yeah, I love Sonic 06. You know, I don't understand why people hate it. I grew up with this game and loved it. Sure, other people might have gotten glitches, but I didn't. Skill issue. What person are you going to listen to? You know, you have to use your like not deductive reasoning. You have to use your own inferences and your own like interpretation to really weed out like, all right, what's worth ignoring and what actually is like constructive, what actually matters. And then the hate, the bigger you get, the more desensitized you get to it. Obviously, you'll have days where you'll feel like a softie and you'll feel sensitive and like maybe you're having a rough day, you'll get a comment and you're like, come on, man, come on. But the more you do it, the more you just stop caring. And also the more comments you get to where you don't even see them, you know, which is really nice.
Yeah, because I know there's been times that I got like the dumbest hate comments where I'm just like, like, why you watch the video then? It's just like, bro, like, it ain't even picking up, so it's just like, it must be in your feed for a reason, because like, I know this ain't just coming to random people's feeds just like that, so I was just like, you must have been wanting to watch it, especially if it's someone who just keeps coming in with the videos. Like, I know someone's just like, I watched this video, now what? I was like, I don't know, it's up to you. Like, what do you want me to say about it? So it's just like, I mean, you can keep watching or not. It's like,
I had a person. They don't comment anymore, but I had a hot streak where every video I posted, they were just like, oh, this one's even more cringe than the last. Like, you somehow keep getting more cringe. My philosophy is never respond, because there's no way of owning someone than making them feel insignificant by just not giving them the energy or time of day. This individual eventually stopped, but if I kept answering them, they probably would have kept going because I got that attention. I'm definitely worse at reacting on stream because it's like right in front of you. It's hard to just kind of like swallow that right then and there. I think anybody can attest to that. It's something I'm working on, trying to be more stoic in that regard. But in terms of videos and shorts and stuff, I will never respond unless it's actually something that I deem like criticism and not hate. You know, I'm not responding to hate because it's just like stupid. Now, granted, I think there's a difference. If you're getting an overwhelming amount of hate, I do think that's indicative of a problem with like maybe the person's persona or like what they're doing. Like if I get enough people like crapping on something that I did in a video, that's, even if it's like, oh, this is stupid, like even if it lacks substance, if enough people are doing it, they're probably correct in some capacity, or not correct. It's probably something I should consider. But I think if it's just like you're getting a couple hate comments every single time, why bother? You know, why bother?
Yeah, I usually leave it to don't interact or probably even get positive, like as in like not that you're positively giving them, like you're like, oh, thank you for the comment, like being sarcastic about it, because they wanted you to have a negative reaction, and when you give them positive, it's not really something they expect. So, but that one could go 50-50, so I don't know how often I would do that one, but because I usually get a lot of comments over the figure of my model, which I'm like, well, you never seen a woman before. So it's like, whoa, oh my goodness, it's a girl. Whatever shall you do? So it's just like, you know, it's like either you keep it moving or it's just like, you know, don't watch. It's just like, it's really that simple. So it's just like, but a lot of people don't know how to react to negative comments. It's just like, I don't know if YouTube's really the platform or just like content creation is really a platform for you, because negative comments is always going to be there. There's a video I recently saw, it's like 10% of it's going to be negative. So like if you have like 1,000 lovers, you're going to have 10% haters. So I don't know how accurate you think that is, but like I do find that
I think that's way too much. That's implying that, like, I like to think that that less than 26,000 people hate me. I mean, you could just look at like YouTube has a stat for like dislikes and what have you, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a more accurate number. Like, yeah. I think like it's more like 1 or 2%.
Well, it's more
I feel like
generalization on that. Like it's just like, you know, like, to expect.
Yeah, there's gonna be a smaller quantity.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, for like, you know, like every amount of people who will like you, there's gonna be an amount of people who will dislike you. It's like the same, but it's just like, you know, to expect that much, like, you know, because you know. You're talking about how people are like, oh, everyone's trying to use you, or everyone fake, or everyone hates you type of mindset. I think it's more so, and there are people who you could low-key kind of tell are like clout chasers. Well, I guess in the mindset we all are, like we're all trying to get clout because we're all trying to grow big, but it's like the way they approach chasing clout is just like they see people more as like your viewers as your viewers, instead of someone like you find the people, your audience, as people you want to entertain. Wow, some people will use it as like, no, these people had to like me regardless of my content, like even if my content's good or bad. So if that makes sense. So,
yeah.
So I thought you were gonna say something.
No. I was just like, yeah, I feel you on that. Just like people that view it as like a metric.
When do you think you would be able to branch out and do other things or smaller titles, whether it's Nintendo or not? Like, for example, because is it that it's a popular title that these games are doing well, or it's because it's Nintendo? Like, for example, could you do like a video on me side and get as much as attention as you are with like Kirby or Mario or X, Y, and Z?
I always get this question a lot from people in chat, and I find it interesting because this is not, I'm not trying to come off as offensive as this is part of my answer. So many people, except for the big boys, you know, they niche themselves into one thing. We're talking about Pokemon a lot. A lot of those guys are a niche within a niche, you know, with like the Then We Fight people. Or let's talk about like Pokemon Let's Plays. You know, Nuzlocks are a niche. There's an expectation that these games are randomized, you know, and stepping outside of that boundary is like can be really hard. And I feel blessed to just have Nintendo. You know, like a lot of people that are like, I'm like an in-between size. There's like small creators. There's like the big boys. I feel like I'm like a weird kind of in-betweener where I'm some people's favorites, but I'm still a little more underground. You know, like a lot of people that like browse YouTube aren't going to know who I am. So I think the answer is probably, I think I'm comfy in Nintendo. I think, yeah, the company's kind of cringe, but I like the art they make, and I'm more of a retro guy to begin with anyway. I like the N64 to Wii era stuff, and I dip into a lot of that. I still have like a lot of ideas for those eras of things. My rule of thumb is if it's in Smash Bros, there's a chance. Bar things like probably not Street Fighter, probably no of the fighting games. That's just not who I am. But like Persona, maybe. You know, that kind of has like a Nintendo overlap. I think it's really a gauge of demographics. You know, like Pikmin fans, I have never met someone that likes Pikmin. I have, that's a lie. But like most people that play Pikmin, they play Mario. You know, so it's like those things are going to naturally overlap in some capacity, right? And if you play Mario, you probably like the Mario RPGs, you know? And if you like Mario and Pokemon, like Mario RPGs, you know? Kirby, like they're all Scrimblow Bimblows. You know, that's the title for them, like the little cartoon characters. But if I were to randomly just play like Dark Souls, I think it would do terribly. You know, if I ever wanted to get to that point, though, I would need some sort of exit strategy. Like, okay, maybe I can, in that case, maybe I can focus a little bit more on Zelda and a little more grittier Nintendo IPs, like Metroid, right? Metroid's Nintendo, but I don't think a lot of Nintendo fans today like Metroid because it's not like a cute, colorful Mario, Pikachu, Sonic character. You know, it's a little bit more adult, it's a little more gritty. So if I ever wanted to do Dark Souls, maybe I would start focusing more on Zelda, on Metroid, adopt like a more like mature gamer audience that like enjoys those things, and then go that path, you know? But I think for the time being, I like what I do. I think I'm granted so much freedom. I have a Donkey Kong video that I have planned. I want to do Zelda, you know, and I think with where I'm at, it's like, why do I need to expand more? You know, like I'm perfectly chilling with where I'm at. I still have more frontiers to go in Nintendo. I've never made a Smash video yet. I would like to try Splatoon at some point. I've never even touched that series, but that's something that I think could fit in my repertoire. So I'm far from bored with what I've offered.
You know,
I believe.
You know what Smash Bros video you should make? So Smash Bros Brawl was made in 2000.
Masahiro Sakurai started.
And then it could be on the Space Emissary, but like the story mode of Space Emissary.
I do want to play Subspace. Yes. I do want to play like a Subspace Nuzlocke or something.
Yeah. But
I don't think people have done that.
And then you can be like, so the story of Space Emissary.
Yeah, the video starts off with Sakurai made Smash Bros. What was the original name for Smash? It was like the Dragon the Fighting Game or something like that. In 1995. Yeah, I'll just do like a whole history lesson before we get into it.
And then everyone immediately click off. Well, my thing is, what do you think? Because you said you worked for him. Alfred did, because he does a whole variety of content. I think he does Nintendo a lot, but he does do Sonic and stuff, and he did do other indie titles at some point. Why do you think it worked for him, where he could do whatever game he wants and he'll have audience?
So like I said, we'll call it the I guess for this little interview we'll call it the Corey Kenshin theory, where if you're big enough, you can kind of just do whatever you want, right? Because like it's interesting how if you're in you get to a size to where your name becomes a niche, you know, like there is very much so an Alpharad style of doing things where it's like Nintendo, but it's also like what's kind of the popular thing in the broad Nintendo space that could be shown in anime, such as I don't know, like what's the Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Death Note. Like a Pokemon fan probably has seen these things, you know. There's less of a risk. It's kind of like that side of the internet or Twitter or like Reddit or YouTube, like a general, you know, because I'm not just a Pokemon fan. I like things like Sopranos, you know, and I think he like kind of conquers that like niche where it's like very broad. Like I can see someone that enjoys everything that Alpha Red talks about, you know, whether it be Pokemon, Mario Party, Mario, Death Note. I like all those things. Marvel Rivals is like the hot new kind of like team-based shooter, but it's like more aligned with Overwatch to where like, oh, I like colorful characters in my games, I'll watch that, versus like he's not making a Call of Duty video, he's not making a I don't know, Call of Duty video, you know. I couldn't think of another example.
Call of Duty video.
I'm not very acquainted with FPSs. So I think that's
Fortnite.
why he's able to do it. Also, he started with Smash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I think starting with Smash from a casual perspective is a great thing because it kind of allows you to dip into like so many other Nintendo properties, right? Because it's like, well, I'm already comfortable with Sonic. I play Smash Bros. You know, like I'm already comfortable with Joker, Persona. I play Smash Bros. You know, which and those overlaps have varying degrees of success. I think it's also different for like competitive Smash Bros. Players because that's like a different niche within itself. You know, you're watching that person for different reasons. But I think that's how he's able to do so many things. Same with like I think like Point Crow is a great example. Shout out to Goat, because he kind of like, you know, he made his stuff off of Zelda, but then kind of created this brand of doing like ridiculous streamer things that started with his Zelda and Mario stuff, and then it got to a point where he's like, yeah, I can do a whole stream of like me drinking water with chopsticks, and like that became a very successful thing because he became more associated with his own identity and doing ridiculous stream stuff rather than the games that he's playing.
Yeah.
So if you get big enough, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It's like once you get big enough, you don't even have to do niches anymore. But it's like one it's how do you get the big part is what people ask. It's like how you finally get out of being a small YouTuber. What's considered a big YouTuber? So that's why everyone always wants to get up to 100K so that he could be able to do all these extra X, Y, and Z content, so they could stop being, let's say, a quote-unquote PokeTuber or X, Y, and Z.
I mean, I don't even think 100K is the benchmark. I think it's like, it's like multi-million, you know. I still know people that are like 1 million subs that like, you're not leaving your thing.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I would say like 1 million too, but I think if that's so suffocating for you, I mean, it's never too late or too early to change too. I would say if someone's at like, I don't know, my size and I was only doing one thing, I would still say like you can change what you want to do. You just need to have an exit strategy. Like you can't just like one day be like, boom, I'm talking about Pokemon, but today I'm doing Sonic, baby. Look out. Like you'd have to find some sort of transition. Maybe upload a Sonic video every once in a while to like give people like the idea of like being comfortable with this, you know, like, hey, like this is something I'm doing, you know, like you better look out, like I'm gonna do it like once a month, and like say I upload weekly, do a Pokemon video every other week, every like for 3 weeks out of the month, and a Sonic video one, you know, maybe do the Sonic Fire Red ROM hack, try to find things that like collide the niches. Like I think it's not that one-to-one. I also think too, if people are small, this is, I guess I did because I rambled myself to this spot. This is my biggest pet peeve with small creators ever. People are like, oh, I'm too afraid of niching myself. Dog, you haven't even started yet. It's the equivalent of being like, oh, I don't want to get famous because like, how am I going to treat the famous life? It's like, you didn't make a song yet. You're worried about step 30. You're not even at step 1, and it's so suffocating for people. I'm like, why are you thinking about this? Like, it's like, worry about it when you get there. People thinking is the antithesis to creating. It is. I think I got to where I'm at by not thinking. I definitely strategized. I definitely planned. I definitely reflected. But like, I didn't let my thoughts inhibit my ideas. You know, I think like, again, people are way too afraid of failure, and I think like if you're worried about niching too much, you're wrong. Like you're actually, I don't like to think of life as life and correct and wrong. You know, I think there's like a nuance to it. I think that mentality is you're not going to get anywhere. I'm sorry, if that's like on the forefront of your mind, because you're worrying about step 20, you're not at step 1. Make a niche for yourself, and then see what if you fall in love with it. What if you never want to leave? And if you do want to leave, then adapt. You know, everyone's done it. I can name like 30 examples of people that like have adapted, left their niche, or like expanded. You know, it's just based on your ability to like get out of there. I was one of those people too. I don't mean this in a cruel way. I was someone that's like, I don't want to do Pokemon because I have so much more to offer. Blah 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 blah. Blah. You know, but I did it. Granted, it didn't last that long because shorts is what saved me. But I still went through with it, you know, and I think that's part of the reason why I got to where I'm at today. I was that ability to compromise my my integrity in such a way, not like in a morally dubious way, but just kind of like, okay, like part of this job is like finding that 60-40 between like creatively making something that fulfills you and then just kind of like doing what's right from a business perspective.
What is your long-term goals for your channel? Because there's always a moving goalpost. So, like, do you ever think there ever be a consistent content with your creation, or is like you would be like, oh, you know what, I need to make more videos, or you know what, I need to reach 1 million or 10 million to get the diamond play button or something like that?
I'm not. I love this question because I think goals stink. While I do have them, they're not like set in stone. I think a big problem is so many people are goal oriented. Like, oh, I have a sub goal. I want to get this much by the end of the month or something like that, right? And I think the problem with that is you actually don't have that much control over it. So psychologically, it's like, I didn't achieve my goal. You're going to feel bad, right? For something that you didn't even do. Or I think people think too large in their goals, and like, if I work really hard, that's not going to motivate you. It's going to be demotivating, because you're gonna start, you're gonna realize how big that mountain is, and then you're gonna be like, well, I've done like say you want to get to a certain point at the end of the year, you've done a month, you're not 1/12 of the way there. It gets demotivating. You're gonna stop. We all know someone that wants to lose weight as their New Year's resolution, and they only say, my goal is to reach this amount of pounds. They stop in February. I'm a firm believer in the systems that you place for yourself. I think that's actually a big part of my blow up too. Was I did have a goal in mind. My goal was as simple as like just being able to work for myself full time, but I really fixated on how am I going to achieve this, rather than like, I want to do it by this point. Like, people are so locked in to like making their details around their goal. I want to get this much by this amount of time, but the big part is not that. What you should be focusing on is, here, I'm going to do it, and starting off small too. I think eventually it'd be awesome to reach 1 million, the big 1 mil. I mean, I'm already like 1/4 of the way there, and I feel like my career is barely even started yet. I've only been working for myself for a year now, so that's really exciting. But I think mostly it's just trying to, like, right now my objective in life is to try to find a better balance. I play basketball in not like a league, but like with friends every Sunday, and at the end of every month, I've been missing Sundays because I'm like working so hard on these videos. But recently, I want to find a better balance in like not having to like I said multiple times, like die at the end of the month to get these like big projects out. You know, try to find a better balance with that. I'm always trying to the little goals I do have is I'm always trying to like add more types of games to my repertoire. I think right now it's mostly like Mario, Kirby, Pikmin, and Pokemon. Pokemon a little bit. Sonic, I did a video, you know, just trying to add more to the catalog, and that can be done when certain things are relevant that I would like to do.
Persona.
Or trying to find ways to like cross over ideas. Like currently I'm doing a Mario 64 Nuzlocke, and I think even though Mario 64 isn't particularly relevant, I think that can work for me because people know me from my Kirby Nuzlocks, so having that transfer can be something. But I'm not like pushing towards a goal of 1 million subs right now. I think right now it's just trying to find consistency and trying to find better ways to make my schedule or make my life easier while still maintaining success. And obviously making more money is nice. I want to eventually propose and start a family and stuff, and I cannot do that off of the income that I'm currently making, you know, so trying to find more success. But I think I'm more so fixated on just like having a better life. Definitely important to me right now.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things is that sometimes the viewers like you know, because like I think you, in the viewer perspective, you're like, oh, why isn't this content creator been uploading more? Like, especially if they had like this one schedule at one point where they used to be daily or whatnot, and it's like a viewer could be pretty greedy themselves, and then when you become a content creator yourself, you're like, oh dang, this is a lot of work, especially if you're doing this as like your job instead of a hobby, and it's just like, oof. How am I gonna make this actually work out for me? Especially if it's gonna be like super high quality content all the time instead of like like the Let's Play and everything else. So it's just like, what can I do something without being bored of what I'm doing? So like you're talking about Mario, Kirby. It's just like, can I still expand without losing my core audience? And what can I do that's even bigger and better while still maintaining like my home life? So it's a complicated question because it's just like, is there a way to balance it out, or is it something where I have to dedicate more time now so I can enjoy like more comfortable later on? It's kind of how people say to work hard in your 20s so you can live comfortably in your 30s. What is your stance on that?
It's hard because it depends on like where you want to live, where you want to be. God, we're getting into it right now because obviously I want to make it nice for like if I start a family. You know, you don't want to be grinding at that point. You got to take care of like children, what have you. But at the same time, I don't want to waste this era of my life to where I'm like it's like dang. Because I did that in college. I think I worked too hard. And I was like, I could have chilled more and had more fun. I still love working a lot, but I think I put like 120% of myself into that when I could have been like really happy with just like 80. You know, like still like work a lot, but still have more time to where I wasn't pulling all-nighters and like foregoing fun activities for these like grinds that I did for these activities that I was in, and just trying to figure out what's the stuff that really matters. Cause I think you can, I don't know, I'm a stubborn guy in that regard. I'm a big like, you can have your cake and eat it too type of person, as long as you apply yourself correctly. You know, like people were telling me, oh, you're moving to LA, doesn't that make your job so much harder in terms of like how much money you would then need to make, and you barely started your career? I made it work. You know, I think if you have the right mindset, the right confidence, you know, the right team, especially if you're very self-reflective, if you have the right ways of going about things, the correct resources, finding those, like you can make it all happen. And I'm kind of set on doing that. It'll never be perfect, but as long as it's good enough.
Do you think right now you feel like it's good enough, or you think there's
like, I think right now, like my career is definitely fantastic, but I definitely could be making it better. Not like I could be getting more views, but like I could have a proper balance. Like I said, like my new rule of thumb is I really broke down what's the problems in my life. And because here's my production schedule, right? I'll do this big live stream series. Lately, it's been like sequels to very popular series on my channel, whether it be like Paper Mario by not beating it or like randomizing Pikmin. And recently I come across two games, that being Pikmin 4 and Color Splash, which took forever. Pikmin 4 is a 40-hour game, and a lot of it is not fluff in the grand scheme of the story that you play through. So that's why that video ended up being 4 hours. And it took me a really long time, to the point where I didn't even finish my stream series. I try to finish my series, like streaming the game, before the month that it's due, right? So I wanted to upload Pikmin in, what was last month? April, right? April 30th or 30th, yeah. And I was still streaming that game into like the 5th or the 10th, I think. Same with this Paper Mario video that I'm working on currently. Is I've literally finished that stream series like 10 days ago, and thus I'm doing these stream series that are way too long, and then that cuts into like the time for actually making the video, and now I'm backed up, and now I'm like, okay, to make this process much more easier, I'm going to try to make video ideas that are like less than 10-hour streams, not that much footage to cut up. I can make videos that aren't over an hour and a half, because that just takes so much longer to do. especially in my more higher concept videos. Like for the Paper Mario ones, I do paper stop motion. That takes a lot of time to figure out what needs to be printed out, actually printing them out, actually cutting them. So recently, I decided I'm going to do that video in parts. I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2. That way, I'm not dying by the end of this month. That way, I can be able to like focus on other things, like having fun in my life, but also like my shorts don't have to be inconsistent. I can still stream at the end of the month. You know, that doesn't have to go on hold. And so that's where I think I can be better. Not in terms necessarily of like the metrics, the numbers, the money I'm earning, but more so like the balance of my life and making videos that aren't so suffocating to produce.
But like, because you mentioned you're a business, when you have an editor, because I know some people who usually just use like, oh, let me just get someone from Fiverr to make my videos, so I'm guessing they don't have to follow the same criteria as you, but you probably have to do like actually have to hire people and they work under you, right? Like, is that how it's done when you're like a bigger time YouTuber?
Yeah, so I have a different process. I'm such a weird example in some cases. I think like I'll admit when things are like, this is a me specific thing. Actually, I want to rephrase that. I was a pretty active member in the in like the editor community, quote unquote. Like I would like to like seek out other editors, and like I always joked about with some friends like starting a union. Like I think like I came up as a YouTube editor. I was there for a while. I've learned a lot under that idea. So I already had like connections of people that do editing. Like right now I have 2 editors. Both of them I kind of found via being their friend first. So that was like really easy. I think most people when they're looking for help, they can just go to Twitter. But I think it's also like, what do you want out of the editing relationship? That's the biggest thing. Some people are like, I want a co-creator, I want a friend. They'll say that, and then they'll make like 30 billion revisions and be really hard to work for, and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, okay, you like the idea of having this relationship, but you just want an employee, which is fine, but like be realistic with yourself, you know? Because I think what's going to happen is that's going to create tension if your goals with your editor are they aren't aligned with your actions. I think it's a relationship at the end of the day, right? And I think I'm someone that's looking for more like a co-creator role, like someone that is going to edit my stuff and like follow my lead and learn from me, but also at the same time provide their own insight. Like I'm okay with people doing their own stylistic stuff here and there if I enjoy it. The one person that I hired recently is like eager to like, hey, like I would even be down to like learn about your script making process for shorts and even like help out with that. And I'm like, I love that type of energy, that type of like gumption. But I think some other people would be more like, nah, I'm gonna do me. Like, you know, you just edit the vid, you know, like, and there's some people that are just kind of like, especially those that haven't edited before at all. They're probably just like, hey, dude, kind of make it like this person. Call it a day, you know, and that's fine too. So I think a lot of it is just trying to build a rapport with somebody and figuring out like, does the dynamics of this relationship work, you know, like, is this a good fit? And what it is, it's like electrifying. It's like a beautiful thing, I think, where you just kind of like get each other, and it's like, this is gonna be a good relationship.
Yeah, I know, I haven't gone to a part where I'm just like, oh, let me just get some Fiverr people or whatever, you can be general, whoever you get because you know, I think that's where people start until they you know, actually have like a whole team behind them, at least in the VTuber industry, so or maybe just in general in YouTube. I haven't talked to a lot other YouTubers, so to each their own. But I know we mentioned this before. It's like a lot of people offer. I'm just like, I don't think you really understand what you're getting yourself into. So I'm like, listen, knock yourself out. And then a lot of people would just quit because they're like, yeah, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It's like, okay. But how you feel? Do you think people should try to edit their own thing first, or have an editor, or like, you know, should they ball out for YouTube, or should they do it themselves first to see if they really
it depends. If you're like a trust fund baby, then like, sure, like, why not ball out, right? I think it's also a matter of like doing it goes back to everything goes back to the mission statement, baby. Because say I'm like say I'm like I don't know, I'm like Mewtwo King, right? You know the Smash player?
I don't know. Okay, yeah.
Okay, one of the best Smash Bros players of all time. You know, obviously his rapport on the internet, his mission statement is just being one of the best. And so if your entire online identity is really based on that, I don't think the edits and what have you really matter. So I think like I would tell that person like, yeah, like if you want to make videos and make more money, like just outsource it. Just try to find some like editor that can make a good video for you that you don't really care about, because ultimately like you just want to be the best and like profit off of that and help people be better at Smash Bros, you know. But I think if you're trying to like become an online creator and really focus on videos and have like a vision, I would definitely say editing. I think everyone should learn to edit, because if you want to it'll make you a better boss first and foremost, even if it's for a little bit, because you'll understand how long something takes. It'll ensure that you won't make any unreasonable requests. You know, I don't think it's for everybody. Obviously, it also depends really on like what you want to do. I think if you're a streamer, right? Because a lot of people want to just be a streamer on YouTube. They don't really care about creating, but like obviously YouTube is a big part of that process, because you got to make videos out of your streams, because that actually gets pushed, and then that'll funnel people to the streams. I think those people, they don't necessarily have to learn how to edit. If they already have like a decent enough following, they want to take it to the next level, they can outsource an editor. And I know some people in my personal life that have done that, where they're just kind of like, yeah, I send it to the editor, they do whatever they want, they're great at it, and that's perfect for me. I just want to stream. I do think generally people should just sit down in front of Premiere. Also too, God forbid the editors go on strike, or like something happens to where you're kind of like lost for a while. You don't want to be like entirely reliant on them. I like the idea of people, I guess that's how I would wrap this up in a bow. Like I like the idea of people knowing how to make what they make, but I think depending on what you want to do, it's not entirely necessary, if that makes sense. And also, if you're already rich, then it doesn't even matter. Just like you can outsource, do whatever you want. You're rich. You already won.
You know why?
Congrats! Like, congrats. You're very privileged. You know, like sure.
Well, yeah, no, because I was like I had noticed with the whole trend, I was just like, dang, a lot of people tend to do these shorts very well edited. I was just like, wait a second, and it's just like, are there a lot of people are really good at Premiere, or is just these editors are going here? So but it's more so, do you think shorts are really the move, or you think it's kind of a dying trend at this point, that you have to go back to doing videos in order to get boosted on YouTube again?
I like shorts. They've done a lot for me, obviously, but I have weird takes with them, because it goes outside of my regular realm of expertise. Like, it's just kind of like miraculous with me. Like, I kind of got in when the iron was hot. I've had success ever since. I do understand why I'm successful in that realm. I think I deliver, like, my niche in that regard is a little different than my videos, where I have these little fact videos, but I imbue jokes into them. I have more of a personality. I think a lot of shorts creators don't put a lot of themselves in it. I think the ones that do actually find a lot of success. I think people that like also just do clips from their streams don't really do that well. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you want to be successful? What do successful people do? Well, they can get away with uploading stream clips because they're already successful. People already know who they are. You know, like if I don't know you, chances are I'm going to see you, be like, well, why am I watching this person? I don't know who this person is, and then swipe off. You know, when videos have a different value proposition, you're more inclined to watch something that you are unbeknownst to. You know, but with a short, I feel like it's just kind of like, why do I care about this person's reaction? You know, like what am I getting out of it? Type of thing. I think shorts are actually still worth tapping into. I just think people need to be realistic about it and like understand what works and what doesn't. I think it can be a great way to like not really funnel income because that's what people focus on a lot, but I think it could be a great way to like get your eyes out there. For me, it's a great way to like keep videos flowing while my big boys are like being produced every month. You know, it's a good way for me to just keep that like, hey guys, I'm still alive, I'm still doing things, you know, and some people like them. But yeah, I think it's worth doing personally. I mean, I'm biased because they work for me, but I think a lot of people that are like, oh, they don't translate to long form views, this is that and the other thing. I think it's a matter of trying to figure out how to do that. For example, I think about this a lot too, going back to where we're like, what you could be doing better. I think if I pivoted and just try to make longer videos that were just like what my shorts were, but longer, I would have been much more successful, but I don't think I would have been as happy. It wouldn't have been as creatively fulfilling. But I have so much success on shorts that I think there would have been more incentive to check out my longer stuff. But I do think the crossover here, paradoxically enough, is my personality. I think people look at my shorts, they get used to the Don persona of me like talking and making jokes, and that kind of like prompts them to like check out a video or two. Again, I don't think that my personality was the forefront, but, or maybe it was. Yeah, I'm gonna double back on that. I think shorts too, we're still at like a low floor. A lot of people aren't checking them out, so I think a lot of people aren't making really great stuff, and therefore you can get away with personality kind of being your niche because a lot of people don't show it, you know. But that doesn't mean just make like a let's play or something like that on shorts. You know, it doesn't mean just like uploading stream clips, because I really don't think those work. I think if you try to make the shorts about something that people care about and then imbuing yourself into it, that can go a long way. Because a lot of shorts are just AI, you know. So I think if people feel very comforted, like, okay, love it or hate it, I know this guy is himself. You know, because like an AI is not cracking jokes like this or talking with these funny stutters or inflections. At least not yet. Fingers crossed that never happens. But
not yet. You spoke about personality. What do you think sells the most on YouTube with personality? Aside from a quote-unquote authenticity, I say that in quotations because you do kind of have to ham yourself up when you're live streaming. Because I was really reflecting on it, and it's just like when it comes to live streaming, you kind of realize how awkward that low-key is, because when we were talking about let's plays or whatever, you had to talk to yourself. You had to vocally talk to yourself out loud, and that's low-key kind of awkward, but you had the ability to edit and stuff to make it more interesting experience. But with live streaming, you have to be vocal every 24 second, every second. And you don't have any abilities to edit during the time that you are live streaming, unless you have some crazy editing abilities you can do at the time and the moment.
So the question you're asking is about like how personality impacts everything, correct?
Yeah.
Like how does that?
Yeah, because you see that even a horrible personality can make it off the internet, so it's just like.
So I think that again comes from self-reflection and understanding yourself as a person. Because I think it's just like, do I have, like, be really real with yourself. Like, do I have the personality that like people, that's performative, that people want to see? And this can come in many ways. You know, this could be applicable to theater or film or television. Like, say you want to become an actor. You know, acting's a talent. Like, sure, you can train, but like, you'll never be as good as someone that has the natural instinct that also did a little bit more training. But that doesn't mean you don't necessarily have to pursue this, right? Like, say you're like really interested in YouTube and have like a really huge hobby that's like you're really into. You're like, my purpose in life is going into this hobby and like educating people or talking about it. You know, I think you'd have to understand that, like, okay, like maybe I'm not good on camera, maybe I'm kind of awkward, maybe this makes me uncomfortable. Then that's up to you to understand, like, okay, maybe I should pivot, maybe I should maybe doing this, like maybe I'm like really into Mario, right? And I start streaming, I start making like highlights. I'm a big fan of Don Shnack and I want to do things like him, but it's like, oh, maybe my charisma doesn't show on camera. Maybe I'm just not like that funny, you know, like that could be time for you to understand, like, okay, but like I do have all this knowledge. Maybe I could just make fact videos, you know, and make it more like video essay, not show my face, you know, make it very scripted and like offer my knowledge without giving that much personality. I don't think personality matters that much unless it depends on what you want to do and how you present yourself. You know, I think obviously if you're a live streamer, it matters a lot because that's all that's really being presented. But I think in making videos, there are tons of ways to do it that doesn't involve you being on camera without you being yourself. You know, even the shorts, like you can just have the best fact shorts ever or like talk about really interesting stuff and that can garner you a lot of success. Actually, metrically, if we're talking raw views here, probably garners you more success because personalities can be off-putting. They can create like a stronger connection with an audience and a bigger, like a stronger fan base, which I argue is more important. But in terms of just like numbers, it's actually better to not really show personality, because then there's less that people can be off-put by. You know, they're just clicking on the freaking thing for the facts. That doesn't sound as fun to me, which is why I picked the path that I did. But at the end of the day, you don't really need to be like a wacky, goofy person or the most talented person to make it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand your point across. I think it's because I'm trying to look at things through a streamer's lens instead of through a content creator's lens. And to always try to shine your personality is like a tough challenge. But if you're like trying to look through things through a metric lens, it's like, okay, what do people want to see? Like you know, the facts. It's just like, oh, did you know Kirby was actually supposed to be blue or something like that? It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a fun fact, even though it's not. So it's just like, you know, it's just like you would get attention from that video, but it's just like, how would that be a good conversion to showing off your content at the grand scheme of things? It's like, yes, we did Kirby facts, but how would you pull those people into wanting to watch your videos that isn't even going to be about Kirby? That's the main question.
I think that's, I mean, for me, it was I think it's my personality. Again, it's only an inference. I can't really, or a theory rather, because I can't really like, there's no data that says that. I don't even know if there is much crossover. I think there is, because when my shorts do better, I do get like better residual views on video. I think there's just naturally more eyes on your stuff. Oh, that's another thing too. I think, just real quick to circle back to a previous question, like, are shorts still good to do? I think if you're starting off, yes, because like they're gonna do better and they'll just put more eyes on your stuff. Like, it doesn't hurt. You know, it only takes like an hour. Like for me, it took me like an hour or two to make a short, a 1 minute short. You know, I would have to type it up, do research for a little bit, which isn't that much because the topic would be really easily like a lot of it would just be like a Wikipedia article for me. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I didn't know this. I can talk about this and make a joke about it. And then the edits should come really fast. It's only a minute, you know. But I digress. That's why I think like people should do shorts, is because there's not much that gets lost if it fails. You know, people are afraid of failure.
Do the shorts need to have edits in them to be successful? Does it need to be bam, 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 or can it be like a?
I think it's up to you. Like, I think research is important. Like, go through shorts, see what's popular, see what works, try to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and then extract that from there. If people in the niche that you're trying to tackle do edits, then like, yeah, I think it's probably a good thing. You know, I also think, I don't know, it's, unless you're talking about the most interesting thing in the world, or like really come across something that's super unique, I think we have an expectation on the website now that things should be like decently edited, or at least paced properly. You know, I think if you want to make a half decent short, you don't have to be super crazy. I think some shorts creators actually overdo it, to where I'm like, I can't even process what I'm looking at here. I think that's part of my niche too, is I have good edits, but they don't last. They're not like super duper fast. The intros are, but the rest of them are pretty tame, I like to think, just like things popping up on screen every few seconds or so, which is quite long in shorts world, because people be putting things like every millisecond. But yeah, unless you're talking about like the most like you just broke ground and created this whole new way of thinking or talking about something, then I would say like, yeah, they probably should have like edits, at least like the subtitles. I don't do them because they're annoying, but you know, at least have something that like jingles the keys for the people watching.
Jingle. Oh my gosh.
And then so going back to the question I was initially prompted with, in terms of like taking shorts people and move them over to the longer form stuff, I think it's just trying to have like a nice equivalent thing going, you know. I think of the creators Double Slap. They do Pokemon stuff. They're kind of in my niche where they just do fact videos on Pokemon. They're come up entirely with shorts. Again, there's a lot of people that just came up through shorts. These people have 3 long form videos, all shorts, 130K subs. But their long form vids, they don't do bad. They do not do bad whatever, because their longer form videos are the same things they kind of talk like. It's something that they're like, oh, this could be a short, but we have so much information, you know, why not just make it a bigger video? And they're succeeding. Obviously it's not to the same extent, but it worked on me. I watched it. I gave it a like. I was like, this is cool. Like, good for you. You know? So I think the best way of doing it is to try to like make a short, think about what you like about it, and then make the video kind of just like a longer version of that. Again, I think for me, it's a little weird because I got big when the iron was hot, and so I can kind of just like, again, once you're big enough, you can kind of do whatever you want in some capacity. Like I'm a weird example where my shorts and my videos are fairly different. I think there's some overlap in my personality, and obviously the stuff that I talk about Pokemon, Mario, Sonic, Kirby. I don't do Pikmin shorts because they don't really do well at all, but that's the type of stuff I do on my maiden vids, and so there's that crossover. Obviously you want to have some sort of like overlap there, right? So I think that's kind of how you do it, is ideally like try to make shorts that are just like condensed versions of what you're providing in your videos. Or yeah, that's actually the best way to put it. There's nothing else to add there.